Hey guys, welcome to the Canadian Round Table. I hope you're all having a wonderful night. I'm just here right now with Fredrick because I don't know, Chris is, he doesn't take the show seriously. He prioritizes his wife and their relationship over the show, which is bullshit, right? He needs to divorce that woman immediately and focus on getting here on time. But other than that, no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Sorry. He's apparently going to pop on a little bit later. Just a little bit busy at the moment. But welcome for joining us, guys. There's about 11 people here right now. Let me check the chat, see who's all here. Hey, my nugs. Yes, the racists are here. Me and Fredrick so far. Let's see. Warped Pulley. I've seen you here a few times. I thought all they had up in Canada were lumberjacks and curlers. Yeah, we got a lot of curlers in Manitoba. We are the champs. My boss that I used to work with, his sister-in-law was the Olympic champion of curling. She won the gold medal. What's her name? I can't remember, but she was this blonde lady. I don't know if anybody followed curling when we won it.
Sweep.
What was her name? I can't remember, but and one Bigfoot, Sasquatches. Hey, Van R, how's it going? Thunder Bay lost 550 jobs, and they're going to import a bunch of people there, right? Didn't they lose jobs in Bombardier or something, right? I'm not sure, but I remember seeing numbers the other day as well that we've lost 2,200 jobs, I think this quarter or this month or something. So, the Federal Reserve has kept their rates steady as well, too. So, they want to paint a rosy picture of the environment. I mean, of the economy, but in reality, it's not doing too well, right? But let's see who else is here. Hey, Saniko, Miss Silent T. Let's see here. A wardrobe malfunction. AJ looking for a new robe. Yeah, I need a new robe. No, I'm just, I don't want any kind of lag issues, so I'm just gonna turn off the camera for now. I want to see if it helps with that, because before I was having a little bit of issues. But hey, Van Art. Hey, boss man. How's it going? That's BM. When I was making that curling reference, I was referring to a funny I Am Canadian beer commercial that's from the 90s. Yeah, I remember that commercial from the 90s. You remember that, Fredrick? I Am Canadian.
I remember those, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that made me feel good at the time.
Yeah, I have to admit, I was moved by it.
Yeah, I Am Canadian. Should find that commercial, play it. Does anybody want to see that? I am Canadian.
And then they were sold to an American company.
Oh, right.
Or something.
Oh, that's everything, right? It's like Tim Hortons. It was sold to America. Now it's an American company, and just everything. But hey, Faye. Sorry, go ahead.
Pull it up. I found it.
Oh yeah, send it to me.
Yeah.
Let me see here. You put in the group chat here.
Yep.
Okay. Hey, Lauren, how's it going? That commercial has diversity messages. Does it? I don't remember. It's been so many years. So
I don't remember.
It's interesting to rewatch stuff that you've watched years ago, and then you're like, oh wow, yeah, that's full of propaganda. But let me take a look here. Here it is. Okay. Cineplex. Hold on, I'm just bringing up the video. It's just loading, guys. Give me a moment. But I got a lot of different things on the docket for tonight. As you guys seen, Cineplex. I'm gonna read their statement, a few tweets and stuff later, considering they're gonna be playing that Unplanned movie. But okay, it looks like I got the video mostly up here. One sec. Is this the right one? Give me a moment here.
A little bit.
Sorry?
It starts, the actual commercial starts at 19 seconds. Actually, make it 17.
Okay, yeah, sorry. Okay, one sec. Just having a little bit of, yeah, let's see, this is, when I open that up. Here, maybe you try playing it and just turn up the sound because I'm having a little bit of difficulties here. Okay, actually, hold on.
Can you get it?
Yeah, I can get it actually. Okay. It was just being a little bit slow, but yeah, fucking. So I try to have everything preloaded because my computer's shit. Son of a bitch. Sorry, guys. Sorry for the wait here. I don't. I'm sure you don't appreciate that. Ah, son of a bitch. All right, man. You just play it. You just play it.
All right. Here we go.
Just try to put it close to your speaker or something, like crank it. I don't know.
I don't live in an igloo or eat blubber or own a dog sled. And I don't know Jimmy, Sally, or Susie from Canada, although I'm certain they're really. I have a prime minister, not a president. I speak French, not American, and I pronounce it bout, not a boot. I can proudly sew my country's flag on my backpack. I believe in peace, not police, diversity, not assimilation, and that the beaver is a truly proud and noble animal. The truth is a hat, which has a billion different, everything is pronounced sad. Canada is the second largest landmass, but first bitch never
Are you sharing it? I don't see it. Wait, hold on. Never mind.
I was sharing it. Like the folks in the chat, can you tell me if you see it?
Why does he keep? Why do you keep asking me if I banned BM? I didn't ban BM. I unbanned him a while ago. He's in the chat right now. What the fuck are you talking about? 1 sec. So let's see. Did anybody else see that?
Okay, hold on.
Opening that just created a bunch of lag issues for me. I don't know why.
Yeah, I'm getting a bunch of Hangout issues too.
Maybe it's just YouTube right now. I don't know.
And I upgraded my bandwidth. Like I got enough, right? So
yeah, they just heard like crap audio, essentially.
All right, so let me log back in because Chrome crashed.
Oh, okay.
I'll be back.
All right, yeah, come back on. But I'll just check out the chat here while he's gone. When did they ban him? Who banned him? I don't know. I don't think anybody banned BM. I'll check later, but I'm not gonna open up too much right now because I don't want to create any issues. Because it seems to be working fine. It's like when I opened up that YouTube video, created a bunch of issues. Oh no, god damn it. Hey Fredrick, can you hear me? Are you back in? For fuck's sakes, what the hell's going on? God damn it, guys. I think when Fred just came back in, it made me go slow again. I don't know what's going on here. Sorry, guys. Oh, see, yeah, there's a BM. I see him right there in the chat. Sorry, my Google is not responding right now to you guys. I don't know what's going on. It's having issues as well. I might have to restart the stream or something because it's being a dick. It's being a real dick right now. Sorry, guys. Fuck, I had a bunch of things on the docket. Now I might need to Hangout is on air. Fuck. I don't know if anybody can hear me right now. Oh my god, what the fuck? Of course. Hey guys, sorry. I don't know what's going on right now. Hello? Hello? Am I back on? Am I back on here? Oh my god. It's starting to lag again. I don't know what's going on. Okay, it sounds normal. Yeah, because on my end it was lagging out super fucking hard. So okay, now it seems to be going back. All right. All right, guys. I think I'm back here. Okay. Fuck. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I'm sorry about that, guys. I really I don't know why it's lagging like a bitch here. When Fredrick came back in, that's when it all kind of screwed up and stuff. So I don't know if it has something to do with his his end or something, or if it's something on my end. But whatever. I'm just gonna go on with the show. Hopefully it works. It went well. I started on Monday. Well, congratulations, BM, for getting to America, man. That's great to hear, man. I know we have our back and forths and stuff, but genuinely, that's good, man. All the best. Uh, you can only be happy for people when they do good and succeed and stuff, right? Because why wouldn't you be, right? But either way, thank you all for joining me tonight, guys. I appreciate it. But I guess if you want, we can start with the Cineplex and talk about that. You fixed it, super genius. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't fix anything. I just waited. That it, oh, now okay, fucking I don't know why it's having these non-responding Chrome issues, but it just wants to be a bitch tonight, I guess. It was working it was working just fine before the stream started, and it kind of goes sour once the stream does start, and you're like, oh, okay, of course now you want to do this. Okay, come on, I'm trying to share my screen here so I can at least maybe temporarily show you guys some stuff. And once I share it, at least I can have it on that screen, share some other things. It will only start. Come on, screen, share. Yeah, I don't know what's going on tonight, guys. Just being a bitch. It might be better just to like interact with the chat or something. Let's see here. So us brave as long as this. But apparently, some of those people from Unplanned, the moviegoers or some of the cineplexes that were releasing it are getting death threats from people. So, it's funny how the left believes that just airing that movie is violence against people, because words nowadays are violence to the left. So this is such a horrible thing that it warrants death threats to innocent people and doxing and all this other bullshit, right? And this is just the left in a nutshell, right? Words are violence, and they feel that they can do whatever the fuck they want to you because their feelings are hurt and they feel threatened, blah blah blah. And but yeah, I'm actually really happy with Cineplex and them coming out and making that whole statement about supporting free speech and how we often will, they often play things that are on the edge. Maybe not everybody agrees with it, and I thought that this was a good move because obviously they're going to get hit by the left that are going to come and try to boycott them and call them out and say they're racist and say, how could Cineplex support attacking a woman's rights to choose killing her baby. That's what it is. They can call it whatever they want, but at the end of the day, that's what it is. But on my end, guys, right now it's showing a bunch of fucking lag and not responding. So I'm not sure if you can hear me right now, but I'm just going to talk as if you can hear me. But it's really interesting too. I was going to show some recent polls about the election and how right now the Liberals are in the lead, I think, with 35%. And, not a surprise. I expected them to climb back up by around this time or a little bit later in the polls. It was just a matter of time. Fucking, come on, computer, stop being a fucking bitch. I want to go back to the chat at the very least. Yeah. Oh man, this is frustrating, guys. This is frustrating. I gotta tell you. It's not pleasant with this goddamn fucking. I don't know if it's YouTube live stream right now. That's just fucking upburst my computer, because my computer is working fine just before this started. And I was like, okay, good. Everything's working fine. And there you go. Just entertain yourselves in the chat. No, I can't see it right now. So it's like, for fuck's sakes, why is this doing this to me? This is irritating. Come on. You can reboot. I don't know what's going on. Fredrick's not back. I don't know if he can even get back on. Maybe not. I feel like just restarting my fucking computer because this is. Hey, what's up?
Yeah, I was having major issues with the computer, and then I was told I had to do updates. I had to wait a bit. So
yeah. So can people hear me in the chat? That's all I want to know. Because on my end, it's like it's all fucking frozen essentially. But I think people could still hear me because they said they could earlier when this was happening.
Yeah, I'm just opening up my my browser.
Yeah, because it's just being a real fucking bitch right now. It's not responding my Google Chrome.
Yeah, Chrome crashed on me.
Yeah, maybe it's just Chrome in general. I don't know. Close.
All right. Okay. Because originally when you gave me the link, it took me to your channel. It's weird. You there? Hello? Okay. Can't hear you anymore. Yeah, I see that. Okay. Hey guys in the chat, can you hear me? It seems I can no longer hear AJ. Hey, Miss Bondi. My turn. Okay, so everybody's telling me, yep, we both sound fine. It's weird because I'm not getting any feedback from AJ. Oh, for fuck's sakes, computers are a pain in the ass. Okay, well, I guess I'm going to entertain for a while. So let me bring up an article. So a little bit on the American thing. So just going to focus that. So I think he's rebooting. And I'll share my screen. Okay, let me go to back up out the chat and what's going on? 29 watching. Great, I'm live. Up out the chat so I can see what's going on with you guys and go back to the article. So more on American news, but it's important what happens in America is pretty much going to happen here. So undocumented immigrants quietly pay billions into Social Security and receive no benefits. If all undocumented immigrants were deported today, next year's Social Security trust funds will have approximately $13 billion less in benefit payouts. It's a considerable loss of dollars, especially when it's projected that the Social Security funds will be depleted by 2034. According to the New American Economy, undocumented immigrants contributed $13 billion into the Social Security funds in 2016. I call bubkiss, and $3 billion to Medicare. 3 years prior, the chief actuary of the Social Security Administration, Stephen Gross, wrote a report that an estimated undocumented immigrants contributed $12 billion into the Social Security. Approximately 11 million undocumented immigrants live in the U.S. with no legal authorization to work, yet an estimated 8 million do, both on and off the books. Since undocumented immigrants don't have a Social Security number and are not authorized to work legally in the U.S., they are not eligible for any Social Security benefits, whether they've paid into the system or not. Why would we... Illegal aliens not documented. Okay, so I'm trying to read it. Like Fox News Citizens. So it doesn't matter, like, if they usually work in an underground economy. It's all cash. So I'm not sure where these are coming from, but this is a weird article. Payroll tax, the 12% tax taken out of a salaried worker's paycheck, split between employer and employee, primary fund Social Security, accounting for 88% of the payouts in 2017. Undocumented workers typically use a fake social insurance number or someone else's SSN when applying for salaried jobs. Only a handful of U.S. states require employees to check employees' eligibility and their SSN through E-Verify. So another
Hello.
bracket. Hey,
Hey, what's
Rick.
up?
Yeah, I was just reading this article in the States about undocumented immigrants, and they're contributing money into the system, but they're not getting the benefits out. So,
Okay.
let's switch topic.
Sorry about that, guys. Sorry about that. Fucking yeah, I had to exit out and come back in. Seems to be working a little bit better now, but okay. So let's see here. Let's see if I can
You want me to
actually.
play that I Am Canadian?
One sec here. One sec. Yeah, if you can share it properly, and share your screen there.
Do you see it?
Yeah.
I'm not a lumberjack or a fur trader.
The audio is pretty bad.
Or a dog sled. And I don't know Jimmy, Sally, or Susie from Canada, although I'm certain they're really, really nice. I have a prime minister, not a president. I speak English and French, not American, and I pronounce it about, not a boot. I can proudly sew my country's flag on my backpack. I believe in peacekeeping, not policing, diversity, not assimilation, and that the beaver is a truly proud and noble animal. The truth is a hat, a Chesterfield Indian coat, and it makes pronoun say, Maxime Canada is the second largest landmass, but first bitch we fucking battle back. America, my name is Joe, and I am Canadian.
I don't know if people heard that. The sound was not great, but
that was all right. I don't know if I hear an echo from your end. I was a little bit, not anymore. But yeah, you heard that one line. He's like, "I like diversity, not assimilation." And I remember I was thinking about that the other day, and I remember being taught that in school about saying how Canada, we are a mosaic, and America, it is a melting pot, and they're kind of like framing it kind of as a bad thing, but as we see today, it's not good to. It's better to have assimilation in a melting pot than it is to have a cultural mosaic of a bunch of different groups that don't assimilate. That's essentially what it is. It's like, yay, we don't assimilate together. This is great. I wonder if it's like, I don't know if it's giving me an issue. It's not letting me share. I wonder if it's because of the last stream I did where I was sharing that one thing, and it gave me a warning saying like, oh, if you share this, we're gonna give you a warning, blah blah blah. But it's like, it's not highlighting the thing for me to share, which is pretty fucking annoying. But maybe I can just send them to you or something.
yeah.
Have you share that?
Van R says that video was cringe. I don't think so. I remember that fondly.
Yeah. It's been a while, right? It's been a little while.
When was Molson bought? Like in 98? 2000 or something like that?
I'm not sure. I don't know. Yeah, it's being a cunt right now. I don't know why it's not letting me share my my screen, but
it could be because they're updating the codes. They're sunsetting the code. It's going to go away come August.
Right.
Or away from like 3 weeks away, 2 weeks away. So they're probably sunsetting the code. We'll start seeing a lot of issues with Hangouts.
Right.
Time for OBS and figuring out how to maybe using Skype.
Yeah, I don't know about Skype. So what they're just going to get rid of Hangouts?
Yep.
Apparently, like that's what they want to do.
Pretty much. Gary J says, yep. The very last Google Hangout streams. Warped Pulley says that video was gay. Play this one. I was talking about this one. Okay. All right. So what do you want me to share?
Hold on a second. Just gotta. I'm gonna give you a few videos to here. This is the Morgane Ogre, the speech that she was giving a while ago that I wanted to share on there. Okay, here's the.
All right.
Yeah, so play that. You know, I got a clip from Morgane Ogre, and she's talking about, you know, just pretty much free speech and how we're not allowed to have it, and you can't say anything you want in Canada. Blah blah blah. So Fred, with your audio, what are you doing exactly? Like when you're playing it, like are you just putting your mic near your speakers?
I'm using voice meter and I'm upping the PC volume on it.
Right. Try just putting it near your speaker as well too. You know, like your mic or something. That also helps. Just put it right near your mic. I mean your speaker. Okay, so let's see on your end here.
And this is the kind of thing that we're here fighting against. Ladies and gentlemen.
It's your mic is kind of going in and out a little bit.
Really?
Just a little bit.
By mentioning that I had a nice chat with the mayor.
That sounds pretty good there. That's not too bad with the way you had it.
That the city of Oakland is working on policy change to make sure that today never happens again.
You cut out.
Yeah. I don't know. It went.
Was enough for me to forgive him for allowing his city council to enable transphobia on city property today, right now.
I don't know why it cuts a little bit.
Mentioned that I'm pretty sure that it's a violation of all of your human rights to be on city property where hate propaganda and discriminatory advice is being given against people like us or your friends or your families. And I'm pretty sure the BC Human Rights Tribunal would not at all frown on anybody putting forward a complaint.
Hold on. Did he call people human rats, like conservatives? Let me. That again.
Right. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard with the audio. The audio is really bad. You know, maybe if like I played the audio on my end or something, like timed it.
Well, no, I did the audio video as well, but I put up the closed caption.
Right.
Was enough for me to forgive him for allowing his city council to enable transphobia on city property today, right now. Mentioned that I'm pretty sure that it's a violation of all of your human rights to be on city property where hate propaganda and discriminatory advice is being given against people like us or your friends or your families. And I'm pretty sure the BC Human Rights Tribunal would not at all frown on anybody for putting forward a complaint.
So she's just advocating everybody put forward a complaint now.
Yeah.
Help me find a little.
Yeah, the audio is cutting in and out. Yeah, you know, I don't know. It's a little bit sketchy for that. Yeah, I don't know why it's not letting me fucking share. It's really weird.
Is the organization that's hosting this and invited the person to speak. And I wanted to speak quickly about how this organization with 2 or 3 members
Wait a sec. Let me just pause this. Pause. So basically, the Canadian Christian organization sponsored this event.
They co-sponsored it, but they said she said they completely sponsored it, but no, they co-sponsored. They co-sponsor this event. They're co-sponsoring the event that they are petitioning right now or protesting.
I see.
Right, so they're like, oh, go and make a complaint. Somebody here can make a complaint to the Human Rights Tribunal.
The Canadian audience. And I wanted to address it because we all know that this is not true. I am personally not a person of God. But I have given a sermon recently. The Rock visited when I was there in it's not a Canadian value, and it's going to be another Christian or religious value for anybody to discriminate or criticize discrimination. And I wanted to clearly share some of my thoughts on this.
All right, pause it for a second. Fred.
Yep. Got it.
Pause it for a second. Okay. All right. Yeah. Sorry. It was just the audio was a little bit messed for me, or maybe it was because I accidentally had it on. But yeah, she's a fucking mess, or he, is just attacking freedom of speech once again, is going at it with just the law, and it's like, if the video, if you keep playing it, you see this one guy calls in and kind of gets him on something where he recorded this whole copyrighted thing, which is illegal, and they potentially have somebody, or they potentially could bring her to court for doing something, or him to court for doing something illegal. But I don't know. Too bad I can't share it right now. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's like you said, just they're encoding shit right now, or could be because like I said last week too, I was sharing something and they're like, hey, if you don't stop sharing this, we're going to shut you down, blah blah blah.
That's something separate. They're going to continue to do that on the new platform we're going to be using.
Okay, well here,
when you're
let me give you,
it's ripping it out, right?
Yeah. Let me give you this here. So share this, and we can go through this tweet at the very least. Here, okay, I sent it in the chat. So this guy is Amir Ataran. I don't know if you guys have heard about this guy, but he made this tweet on July 6th, and it got a bunch of people, I don't know, angry and whatnot. It got decent likes for Canadian Twitter, whatnot. I don't know if you're sharing the screen right now, but as you guys can maybe see, I don't know if I can click on his screen. Conservatives have a strong lead among those who have not attended college or university, while the Liberals have a lead among those with university education. The party of the uneducated at every poll says this. So, and this is true, right? That people shouldn't get mad that when Liberals trot out these numbers, right? Because what they're just saying is that if you go to university, you're going to be most likely a liberal, right? So yes, educated in some fashion, but you could be educated but also brainwashed at the very same time, and that doesn't mean anything, right? And they're just trying to bait you with these responses. And he's like, update, hundreds of conservative trolls are irked by my tweet. They seem not to notice the long quotation from the pollsters whose data show the cons are comparatively less educated. If you don't like the data, shooting the messenger doesn't change anything. Update, many conservatives are are viciously angry with me for showing polling data, but they can't or won't disprove the data showing that the least educated vote conservative. Why? It takes strength to face uncomfortable facts. And, there's probably like 6 people angry at him as well, too. And this would liberals and whatever do as well. And they make the big deal. Oh, conservatives are angry about this, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, to correct much false information, I am not a liberal. I don't belong to a political party. Sorry? Oh.
No. What happened here? Okay, something happened. Oh, there we go. So who's this? It says he's a professor of law and medicine at Ottawa.
I got another tweet to share to you, and it kind of goes in on a little bit about this guy and some of this bogus claim that he made, or he's this lawsuit against his university when he just applied for his application too late, and then he made this whole like racial discrimination thing that he lost.
Jesus Christ! All right, let me share this. Give me a sec.
So this guy's a fool, and this guy Kevin Weiner. Here, let me click on your thing here. All right, click here. So go to the top of the page. So this guy, I don't know who he is, Kevin Weiner. Weiner, I don't know how you pronounce it. Maybe I'm mispronouncing it. So Amir Adaran once used very aggressive language reprimanding the tribunal in one of his frivolous lawsuits for losing his filing. Turns out he accidentally put the wrong file number on the document because he's very smart. So he is a pleasant and stable law professor, Amir Adaran, threatening to sue the Ontario Human Rights Tribunal because they lost his document. Lost, he is even put in all caps, bolded and underlined. The truth, Adaran accidentally put the number, can you scroll down a little bit?
Yeah.
Number one of his, Adaran accidentally put the file number for one of his other lawsuits. He sues people so often it must become difficult to keep track. You may be curious, what was the topic of this important piece of litigation? Well, Professor Adaran applied for a Canada Research Chair position at York University. He's currently suing his own University of Ottawa for not promoting him to a CRC there. So, like how privileged these people are, right? Like, this is clearly racism. You go down a little bit further.
Yeah, just if I can,
sorry, go ahead.
A little bit of a background on this.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So I looked him up. According to Wikipedia, he is a Canadian-American Iranian law and medicine professor. He was born in California and immigrated from Iran. So he went all to the schools in Sacramento. So we know where this Yahoo, the talking points are all from California. His notable work is he's a social scientist, advocates for public health care, environmental protection. He was a graduate student in Oxford. The university secretly ordered its scientists to remove radioactive warning labels from dangerous laboratory waste and instructed them to dispose of it covertly in the city's sewage and rubbish bins. Scientists in the department. So he worked on something like that. He also worked on the Sierra Legal Defense Fund, which isn't too different from the World Life Fund as well. So another NGO. But yeah, he seems like a character. Again, these people are never Canadian, are never American. They're always he was born in California to immigrants. So no appreciation for the country he teaches and works in, no appreciation for the country he was born in, most likely. But anyways, continue.
No. Why would he?
He's a goof.
But what was the tweet here? Oh yeah. So you look, he's like, the problem, he applied for a York job months after the application deadline passed. Obliviously, his application wasn't considered, and they hired one of the people who applied by the deadline. Adaran sued York, alleging they racially discriminated against him. Yes, apparently York was racist against our good friend Amir because they didn't reopen the process to consider his post-deadline application. And he didn't just want damages, he wanted the successful candidate to be turfed from their job. So it's like, yeah, this guy's a real piece of work. He comes in to Canada, says a bunch of shit, tries to create division, and then fucks off when things go awry, probably, right? It's just typical fucking people. But and then he wants to say, oh, conservatives, you're uneducated and you vote for the right. It's like, yeah, the people who haven't been in university vote conservative, right? That is the truth. It's nothing to be ashamed about or whatnot. But check out the chat here. Hey, old white guy, how's it going, buddy? Hey, if you want to hop on, let me know.
Also, isn't it a little bit ironic that the guy is a moron and he speaks like this as a professor, which should, for the most part, remain politically unbiased, right? Like your teaching should come from an angle of unbiased. And so this moron is teaching liberals who are going to be further morons. So isn't it funny you're calling conservatives uneducated, but you're the one that's uneducated? And if you, it's just a look up on the guy and you see where he's from.
Right. Yeah, right. It's bullshit. And yeah, this person who's got dual citizenship and all this other crap, right? And you're like, come on, man. This person is a joke. But I sent you the article from Breitbart about Unplanned, because I wanted to pretty much start with that, and then I'm gonna send you some tweets from some liberals that were like, this is violence against minorities and women or whatever, not minorities. I just added that in there. But here, send you tweets. But we'll read the Breitbart article first, then we'll go through some of these tweets of these left-wing liberals that were saying like, this is violence, blah 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 blah. And then there's Gordon Perks with his liberal line, like they like to play every time. I'll go over that, but let's see here. All right, sent all the ones. Well, I guess, like I said, we'll start with the Breitbart thing if you're able to. Hey Tanya, hey T-Nova, hey guys, hey Point Fire and Boingo Bear, what's up? Hey Kel.
Boingo Bear is asking about a butcher shop. It's not a butcher shop. It's I was doing a test training with OBS because I got my uplift in my bandwidth. And there's a clinic. It's called the McLean Clinic in Mississauga, Ontario. And there's pictures. I can show it later. But they basically lob young girls' breasts off who think they're boys. So I was going to do on the show on Friday a call-in. Basically, I'm going to dial the number. I'm just going to say, hi, Larry, I'm transitioning from a girl. I'm only 14. Can I come on and do a double mastectomy and see where it goes from there? You can join if you want. So anyways.
Right.
I'm sharing the screen if you want to talk about it.
Okay. All right. Let's see here. Okay, I'll click on your screen again. Sorry, go ahead.
I saw this movie, by the way.
Oh, you did? How was it? I haven't seen it. I don't really care. I don't plan to see it because I don't give a shit about movies in general. But
it's a good movie, but if you can sit through the schmaltzy womanish part, like they're playing a lot of schmaltzy. But there's one scene where she becomes the director of this clinic, right? And they're just freaking brutal. And the woman comes out and makes the statement, says, we have Soros, we have the Koch brothers, we have all of this funding. Who do you have? You have nobody.
It's anti-Semitic. It's clearly anti-Semitic.
So no, this is the old director as she decides to changes her mind from working in the clinic, and then she starts talking to people, passerbys, as they come to abort their babies, and she's telling them really what's going on in the clinic, right? And maybe give other options to think about. And then the old director who kind of mentored her to take the position tells her that. She's telling her, you can't fight us. We have Soros, we have the Koch brothers, we have all of these other people. And it was really interesting.
Oh, that's interesting how they lumped in, because I remember reading an article the other day, about a month ago, and when it was like the Koch brothers and Soros are teaming up together for blah blah blah, and you're like, well, yeah, obviously, but I'm surprised this movie hasn't been called anti-Semitic yet. Probably has been somewhere, but by somebody. But yeah, I'll read this story. So apparently, some people are getting death threats. So police have been called in to investigate allegations of death threats made to cinema theater owners in Canada who had scheduled to screen the pro-life movie Unplanned. And it's so crazy, right? It's probably like you said, it's probably not even that crazy of a movie. You know what I mean? But the fact that it's just making leftists lose their fucking mind because they're just against free speech, and they're completely convinced that words are violence, and anything against a woman's right to kill her baby at 9 months is blasphemy and needs to be censored. You know, and they're like, what the fuck? People are fucking deluded. But BJ McKevley, president of Syndicon, the Canadian distributor of the film that tells the story of Abby Johnson, a former Planned Parenthood manager turned pro-life activist, confirmed 2 Canadian independent cinema owners reported threats that caused them to be fearful for their families. Yet another independent theater owner was reportedly harassed to the extreme. Chuck Conzelman, one of the film's producer-directors, reportedly said McKelvey requested, for the sake of safety, the film's producers remove from their website July 12 listings of 46 Canadian theaters that will be screening the movies. The death threats are reportedly aimed at the independent theater owners. McKelvey noted they didn't get anywhere with Cineplex, or they didn't get anywhere with Landmark. So, you know, they called into these big companies and they're like, fuck off, right? They're not going to respond to that. But so like, all right, we're going to go for the independent owners that own these specific theaters and go for them, right? The easier targets. It's unfortunate it's come to that, he said. It's just a movie. The topic is certainly a hot topic. However, it's just a movie. I find it ironic. They talk about pro-choice, but they're not giving people a choice to go see the movie, right? And that's so ironic, right? This is pro-choice. I'm pro-choice, except for your choice to go watch a movie. You know, they're so mad about this propaganda. You know, we'll go over some of the tweets later, right? But according to the Kelowna Capital News, threats were reportedly made against theater staff via social media and Shuswap, British Columbia, prompting the theater to cancel the film's screening. What's different here, I'm just going to skip a couple parts because like what I highlighted is like what's different here. Certainly in the past, there hasn't been an effort to dox employees or specifically the general manager by releasing their personal information on social media and then encouraging people to go after them as the one responsible for some heinous act, he added. We just aren't prepared for those levels of hostility towards our general manager, right? So, you know, blah, 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 you know, he just kind of saying, it's like, I'd prefer it if you guys did a peaceful demonstration outside as opposed to some violent threats for this and that, right? But, you know, this isn't going to make the CBC, right? Or the left wing or the Star, the Red Star media. Go ahead,
no,
Fred.
There's an agenda. And the thing is, there's an agenda. Why would they? And, you know, the guy here on Cineplex stood his ground. And these people are like petulant children. That's all they are, right? You don't get their way. Well, then I'm going to scream, shout, and throw sand. And if they're going to dox people, we should have the right to dox them, right? Like the thing is like this is why this shit's happening, because we're just sitting idly by. We're like, okay, let's talk about it, and let's rely on the police. And the police is doing shit. They're under orders by the leftist, progressive, elitist morons, right? And I'm thinking we're pretty soon going to end up in a corner until someone starts to push back a little bit, right? Start doxing the people,
I wouldn't recommend you do what they do, right? Because they can a lot of the times get away with it, and like you will more suffer the consequences. And why would you dox them? So then somebody on the right would go attack them. Like nobody on the right is gonna. A lot of them, there'll be some crazies, but
so what do we do?
The left does have lunatics. That's why they know. Oh, okay, they'll dox these people, and a bunch of people will show up at their fucking house. But what happens when Antifa people get doxxed? Like, are you gonna like go to their house and harass them?
Why not? Grab a sign, start bringing the loudspeakers. How do you like this, asshole? Hey, get out of your mom's basement. Hey, Miss So and So, do you know your son's a little jobless prick? Start yelling out their window. See how they like it. What are we gonna do? Writing stories about it?
Yeah. I wouldn't. I would be wary of using their tactics the same way.
So we sit idly by while the justice system doesn't do anything, while people's lives are being doxxed.
I never said sit idly by. I said I don't recommend using their tactics. Now that doesn't mean do nothing or do absolutely nothing, but I'm just saying I'm not going to do the doxing. I don't agree with that, believe in that or whatnot to begin with. But yeah, people, I'm going to dox somebody. I'm going to try to uncover who they are if they're showing pictures of Antifa that are attacking people with their face covered or something like that. But it's just not the same thing, right? It's not the same, because like what are we going to dox, like leftist hairdressers or something? Like, oh, you believe in communism? Like people on the right will be like, well, I respect your freedom of speech. And they're not going to do anything. But then like the left is they're going to be like, what? You believe in abortion?
He believes in boxing. I don't know. It
they got more
so
crazies,
right?
That's the thing. The media just sicks their crazies on us. That's what they do. And they think we got all the crazies. It's like, no, they got all the crazies. The Antifa lunatics, whatever, like the shock troops. And they can, like they can get away with it in a lot of the time.
Yeah, but good people's lives get destroyed, right? Just these people, like, I don't know if you've seen, there was a video of these dipshits in an IBM store, like, a Microsoft store. And they started protesting because they're like, you're supporting ICE. And these people are just there working. These are, retail workers, right? They don't make that much money. They just, they get paid. Maybe they're going to use some money for college or spending money. They maybe will get a discount at the Microsoft store. And what's Microsoft going to do? All of a sudden end all their multi-million-dollar contracts with the government for supplying or cloud services. These fucking, if you've seen this video, these fuckers are just like, you gotta stop, they're hurting him, the Mexican immigrants. It's just like, I don't know.
Right.
And no one in the store, they're all scared. Everybody's afraid of these jackasses. Get the fuck out of the store now. I'm calling security,
Right.
Grab him by the scruff neck, kick him out. Get out. do that anymore. We'll just
Yeah,
switch it
yeah,
to-
exactly. You can't. That's
Fucking-
ridiculous.
Oh, sorry, man. I got a little bit animated.
Oh no, it's fine.
Anyways.
Yeah, they're annoying.
So I got this one of the tweets that you sent me.
Oh yeah,
Dude.
Julie S. Lalonde or whatever, but she's just atrocious. If you follow her Twitter account, and like I've seen her tweets every once in a while, she's just a far left feminist. She's like award-winning feminist buzzkill, Franco-Ontarian, gerontologist by training, loudmouth by design, femme lover of MMA, and proud of the outside. It's okay, but yeah, she's a buzzkill feminist, and she puts it in her name. So she's like, today a man called me and threatened me because I spoke out against an anti-choice film. It's anti-choice. I've notified police and did all my due diligence. See, like CBC will probably write an article about this. But if the media could stop referring to these turds as pro-life as though it's an apolitical term, that would be great. And, the far left thinks the media is like against them. Media, stop being so fucking, call them Nazis and haters or something.
By the way, Spy Patriot said he was joking about the whole boxing thing.
Boxing?
Yeah, like doxing, boxing.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Gotta be specific, right? Because we're making light of it as well, right? But anyway, this woman seems like a retard. Just a woman that needs a good bedding. Like a good boyfriend that can satisfy her needs. I don't know.
She probably gets fucked by 3 different dudes every night.
Maybe that's not enough. Maybe she needs a gangbang.
She's like, I prefer anti-choice, but I'll even accept anti-abortion. Pro-life is a loaded political term that is far from neutral. So, but pro-choice isn't. Like, you're not gonna. You should call it what it is. Scrambling a baby's brains and sucking it out of you. Like, that's what it is.
These women are fucking retards. They always talk from the physical aspect, but they never talk from what it does psychologically to a woman. I speak from experience. When my wife had an abortion, she went mental. She had mental issues. And it's because when we came out of the clinic, she was like, she looked like she saw a ghost. Like and every time women are there, they're sitting in the room, for anyone that hasn't had that experience, it's very enlightening. So you're sitting in the room preparing, and you're just a fucking number. You're just in and out the door. Boom, boom, done. Right. And in her case, it was a life. It could have been a life threatening issue. I didn't get she was like, kind of worried, but we never got a chance to discuss it. I didn't get a chance to discuss it with her. That's why it almost broke us apart, because I was that pissed off. I wanted to kind of consider options and seek more professional help. Right. But she was, already we've had 2, and both were C-sections. And when a woman gets C-sections, there's more complications on each iteration. Right. So, but I still wanted to seek more information on it, but we went there, and they just to put it obtusely, they roto-rooted the internals, and they started sucking out the bits, and she was traumatized. For 2 years she was having nightmares. She went through extreme, we almost broke up. There was a lot of issues in our relationship, and they don't talk about that, and they talk about it in the movie. So when I was seeing those parts of the movie, then I'm like, oh, well, now I definitely know where they're coming from this angle. But if you notice, they always approach it from the physicality, but there's more to whether you believe in God or not, there's something running behind the machine, right? There's a thinking process, and maybe we can look at it. We can think of it as a kind of a untangible essence that's running the machine in the background, or like what you would say, a ghost in the machine. And like, never do they approach it from that angle. And I worked with another guy. I couldn't stand him after a while. Seemed like a nice guy, had the British accent and everything. A black dude from the UK, but originally he was from Nigeria. And he was going around fucking chicks, like, he was on Twitter constantly at work. He was like, yo, I fucked this girl, I fucked that girl. I was like, dude, I don't, like that. I don't know. We're not in grade school. We're not in, not grade school. We're not in high school. We're not in university anymore. Like, the notches on the bedpost don't mean anything, man. Like, fuck, grow up, right? And there was a girl that came in, and she was like pregnant for the third time. She already had 2 abortions. Messed up. By that time, she would see this guy's a fucking asshole. Nope. She kept going back to him. She was pregnant the 3rd time, and he's like, yeah, no, I'm fucking other girls. I don't want this baby. Ha ha ha. And she sent him cookies, like a big basket of cookies to work one day. And he's like, do you want one? I'm like, no, fuck that. You eat it first. See if you're alive in 20 minutes. It's insane. Like, it messes with girls' heads, and
Yeah, no, that's they're being turned into just whores. That's just the fucking truth of the matter. And then they're aborting all their babies. So then, that can't have a good psychological effect. I know, lots of people who have just lost their babies, through not abortion, but miscarriage or something that, seem to affect them. But, especially it depends on when it happens and whatnot as well too. But and what I don't like as well too is they're like, men should have no say whatsoever. But it's like, and that's not how our society's fucking run. We live in a fucking democracy, and if you don't like it, let's change it. I'm down for it. I'd be cool with that. But you love it, and that means I get a say in what the fuck happens with your reproduction. So tough. If you don't like it, go live in the bush. It's the social contract, motherfucker. So whatever, right? That's my response. But it's
well,
yeah.
Rats. The female rats will eat her. I think they're called kits. Under any stressful situation. So what are we turning, human females into rats? Like, is that what we've come to now? Digress to the point where, like, little rodents. And the fact that they removed the men from any fucking equation, right? Like, so watch the dichotomy of situations. So a woman could sometimes sperm jack a guy, right? And she's like, I'm pregnant. Now you have to support me, blah, 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 blah. Okay. We didn't talk about this. We didn't agree to anything. You were told me you were on contraception. There's been stories about that. And she purposely gets off of it to get pregnant. And they haven't done any family planning. But she can hold the guy ransom. You understand? She can take him to court. She can get all kinds of money from him, right? But on the flip side, when the guy says, I want to keep the baby, I want to, let's try to work this. Nope, you got no fucking say whatsoever in it. Too bad. Yeah. So sad.
You should have a say in the abortion. Be like, first month and a half. Be like, I get to say.
Well,
then if they don't, they get put in jail.
Well, the thing is, I noticed when my wife got the abortion, they didn't even bother asking for my signature or anything. Like, she knew we were married. Nope, just hers. So it's like what the fuck? I should have an ability to sign off on that, right? Because I'm sorry, part of those cells in your body are fucking mine. It's got my IP on it. So I don't know.
Right. You know,
Men
but
are
so this is like TJ Bennett. So he's got the
he's a furry. You can tell.
furry ears. He probably fucks dogs.
Probably.
Takes it in the butt. When freedom of speech impedes on human rights, it is no longer protected under the veil of freedom of speech. This guy doesn't believe in freedom of speech at all. It's just the veil. It's like, you know, that's all it is. It's just bullshit anyway. It's just used so Nazis could take away your rights by saying things. What you're doing is telling girls they don't matter. Money does. What? No, it isn't. Like, if anything, that's what they tell women. They're like, oh, if you have babies, that's you're gonna lose out on a lot of money. So don't have babies and have an abortion because blah blah blah. But it's just funny how freedom of speech somehow impedes on human rights. That's the biggest crock of shit I've ever heard in my fucking life. It's like, are you like these people in a video game? I would just love to beat the living shit out of them, you know, like in a video game, because it's just like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like,
You
like your freedom of speech impedes on my human rights. Like, how is this movie airing impeding on anybody's rights whatsoever? Like, your human right not to be offended is because they add this like dignity in there. It's like, you know, you're the dignity, and so it's so broad and shit. It's like, this is offending my dignity. This is my human right not to be. It's like, fuck you.
You could
Fuck all these people.
This is one of those that should have been aborted.
Right, because this is he's responding to. It's like Dina L. It's like, although I do not support this movie, I support freedom of speech, and I do not believe in censorship. Once we start down that slope, there is no turning back. Whilst I will not be watching this movie, I support your decision to air it. Right, she's responding to Cineplex. Right, but if you go to Gord Perk's tweet, I don't know if you can bring up that one. But he does the same liberal like trope. You know, they always just say this every time. So Cineplex, and he says this to Cineplex because Cineplex is like, we believe in freedom of speech, right? Then Gord Perks comes in there. I don't know if you're not showing the same one. I don't think you're showing Tracy Kent.
Gord Perk.
Yeah, you're Tracy Kent. But she's also got a stupid one too. It's like, oh, freedom of speech is impeding on my rights. Like, everyone demanding freedom of speech in order to take away freedom from women and control our uterus, women body parts still under threat from religious zealotry. Blah blah blah. That was a Tracy Kent one. Just this stupid nonsense. But this Gord Perks guy, I don't know if you can bring that one. Here, I'll send it to you again if.
No, I got it.
Okay. So he's like, you know, the same thing that all liberals say to Cineplex, who said, we believe in freedom of speech, right? And not censoring things that we don't believe. So they'll always take the legalese version of the word censorship or censoring when it can be applied to other things that the government isn't involved in. Like, look up the fucking definition, the Webster Merriam definition, and you will see that it does not. It's not just involving. It's not just a legalese fucking term, but it's not censorship if it doesn't involve state action. The lawyers at Cineplex who reviewed this statement would certainly know that. In other words, Cineplex, because, you know, they really don't want anybody. It's all about optics, right? They don't want people for it to appear like they are censoring things, because they are. But they're like, no, this is blah blah private company, whatever. Cineplex is all too happy to attempt to mislead people in order to defend their decision to show this movie. So, city councilor for Ward 4, Parkdale High Park, I don't know, Toronto, Ontario. So, you know, typical. I hate that guy. I've seen him fucking all the time on Twitter. I recommend,
But notice all these people are white, right? Like,
right.
they're all white. People that been aborted.
White people, stop having babies. That's what it is.
Stop having wrong babies, or pick your spouse is better.
Right.
You want to open up the Tracy Kent one?
Yeah. Well, you can open up that one. She's just saying some fucking nonsense, to be honest. But
so what she's saying?
I got this one story I want to share of this another immigrant sob story, not sob story, but one that kind of tells to you that hey, these Syrian refugees are great, and we need more of them because they feed the homeless people in our country. Yada 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 yada. I see these stories from CBC every month. It seems like maybe one or two a month. There's always a story of the Syrian baker who feeds the homeless, and this other Syrian who does this, and this Syrian who does this, and blah 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 blah. And you're like, okay, man, like seriously, this is.
What if I don't like my food kosher? Or no, sorry, not kosher. What if can I go into his restaurant and say, can I have please a non or a halal free pita? Like, can I complain if you're producing a non halal? Because I don't agree with what they do with the slaughter of how halal dictates they have to slaughter, right? So do I get a say? Like, can I now protest outside his store?
Right. It's you made me think of this video I saw the other day of all these vegans. They're all like an army of vegans that went to this chicken or this duck factory, and they're all like, all right, B team, go left, A team, go right. And then they all like came into this factory, and all these ducks are on these things being twirled around, on this conveyor belt type thing, and their necks are kind of in it. And so they go and they have these bike locks, and they bike lock their necks to these conveyor belt things. But then they start moving. And then one of the guys like stuck in a bar, and they're like, "Stop it! Oh my god! And they're like, "Stop it!" And his people are like, "What the fuck are you doing here?" They eventually left, and they were holding ducks and crying and like, the funniest thing I ever seen in my life. But
here it is. Here it is. This is funny. Yeah, this.
You have it.
Yeah.
That was from Swervez.
Yeah. Look at these guys. They're like, when you look at these guys, I just think there's just too much soy in the water, right? People are, dumping the refuse of soy into the drinking system. So anyway, I'll get to the part where.
Yeah, turn up the volume on there. This is funny. You got to hear. They're like, A team.
Okay. Yeah, hold on. Turn up the volume.
Okay, go. Yes.
So, mind you, these are the Mexican workers. They don't give a shit. It's just like, whatever. Continue. They don't even care. Like, if they lock themselves to the thing, they'll just keep working.
They get to the part where they choke themselves.
Yeah. I'll forward it a little bit.
It's pretty cool.
Oh, so let me just turn it about. So basically, there's one guy who organized all the keys into one. So the one guy has a stack of keys, right? And he has numbered it, but you have to go through those keys. So I'll just play it again, and then I'll fast forward it.
I was watching what's his name? Swervez, that carnivore. He's like, look at how pale she is. Like, look at how she's so thin. She needs nutrients.
Someone in the chat asked if this person was Muslim, because I don't think so. You're getting blasted with blood, right? So you want to cover yourself. So this is them. This is the line, right? Let me rewind this a bit. So she turns the line on. This guy's choking to death. Look at that. There's the Chinese guy. He's stuck against the pole. Oh my God.
Oh my God. Go to the part where they're holding ducks crying. The laugh. They eventually free the guy here.
But he can't find the keys. Look, he's got a bundle of keys, right? So just the manager's like, fuck off. He's Chinese too. You wanton asshole. Let's get you out of here. Okay, let's get you out of here. They finally let him go. Number 2 here. Number 4. Hey, I got. Anyways, that was the video. Pretty shit. Yeah. Oh, fuck. Anyways, so go to this guy and get some of those protesters and say, hey, halal butchers these cattle like really badly.
Right. Yeah, this guy.
I'm gonna do this to this guy, right?
Right. I wonder what's going on in his kitchen. It's probably a bunch of animals having their throats slit. But Big Bite, he's from Egypt. What?
I thought that was Brighton. Sorry, man.
Oh, who in the chat or the guy?
Sharing
the actual guy.
The article, right? The guy.
Okay. So this guy, Big Bite PETA provides free meals to people in need for an hour a day, 7 days a week. Every day, 3 p.m., Peter Boland sits at a table in Big Bite PETA Churchill Square in St. John's waiting for his meal. Sometimes he orders a poutine, other times a wrap, but no matter what he chooses off the menu, he never has to pay. An inconspicuous black and white poster went up outside the restaurant about 3 months ago and reads, so only 3 months ago, not very long, right? The guy's been around for 10 years. Apparently, he's lived here. I don't know how long he's had the restaurant open or whatever, but and reads, free meal for the homeless every day from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. It's a promise owners of a small restaurant have kept. I seen a Facebook ad and thought it was absolutely incredible. what they are doing for low income in the city, said Boland, 27, who grew up in Newfoundland and Labrador foster care system. When all the pain in the world, the real depression hits, it's a family. It's like a family here. It's really a community that you don't see anymore. And you know, the ironic thing is you see this white, poor, homeless guy.
Yep.
And us, we're bringing in refugees and all these people whom we don't have the money for.
But how do you know he's a poor homeless? Maybe he's just a CBC employee that works in the
yeah, that's true.
Tweets. He looks like one of those guys too.
Yeah. So he looks homeless. But yeah, right, like well, whatnot, you know, when all the pain in the world, the real depression hits, it's a family here. It's really community. Bolin, who frequents Stella Circle and the gathering place for meals and support, said restaurant providers or provides a different kind of atmosphere for those looking for help. People who have anxiety, they can't attend places like that. It's completely different here. He isn't the only one at Big Bite Pita who knows what it's like to be hungry. Restaurant manager Ala Natouf has also fallen on hard times and is eager to help with a meal. Sometimes I had no money to buy bread for my children, said Natouf, who moved from Syria to St. John's as a refugee 3 years ago. So, you know, just more propaganda. That's what it is, propaganda, to get us to be like, oh, these refugees, they're just coming here to build a home and they're feeding our homeless. What have you done? You're going to be replaced. Go ahead.
Anything in the media is propaganda in one form or another. You need to remain unbiased. But the problem is that with a lot of media today, you have photos and photo ops, right? Because back in the day,
this is clear propaganda. Like there's some things that are kind of basic reporting, and some, like, there is obviously a spin on lots of stuff. But I'm just saying, like, this is like
I understand,
really
but
trying to get you to love them.
But you know, in the old days, you know, it was expensive to put photos in newspapers, so it would be this would be in the interest story category, right? Buried on page 35. And that was cool. And, you know, you would read the story how this place is helping these people. But look at the photo ops, right? Look at the photo ops. Oh, isn't he? He's there. He's just like one of you guys. And there's a happy, bright and cheery there sitting in the restaurant. There she's like happy, look, I'm happy to serve you. You see, and then you see, you know, they take a picture of the sign, which is unnecessary, right? It's absolutely unnecessary. And then, you know, there's the photo.
They want to show the Canadianness of it, like, hey, see, he's got a moose in the background,
right?
He's
exactly.
You know, well, yeah, obviously, but like, you know, the propaganda back in the day was like, it's laughable compared to what it is today. Like, you know, we would like laugh at how blatant it is, whereas now it's even more subtle.
You can see this part. Paying customers now make donations.
Yeah, right.
They're subtly telling you to start coming in and paying, like visiting, patronizing this Syrian's restaurant, right? Giving him like more, because his restaurant looks pretty empty, right? Like, did CBC go and do this photo op and empty the restaurant and just have this one guy there? There's like one bum in Newfoundland, and he comes into the store. Where are the other guys?
This was in their top stories of CBC on their website, like one of their top stories. So it's just like, oh wow, everybody read this story, because, you know, a lot of people will click. Yeah, you know, if you go to CBC's the site, you know, you'll maybe check your province or something, and then the top stories or something, right? If you're on there, which portion of the population in Canada is or whatever. So yeah, you know, they're gonna see these feel good stories like this, and you know, they're gonna be like, oh, what are you mad that these people are helping people? It's like, no, I'm not mad. I'm glad that homeless people are getting fed and shit, but I'm not being fooled by this blatant bullshit.
But notice how there's never these interest stories where dozens, I mean, hundreds of churches across Canada do this work every day, right? Like I know Chris's church, they've gone out in
Yeah.
the winter to help the homeless.
My grandma does too.
Right. There you go. What about Faith Goldie's going down under the Gardiner Expressway and giving food during the winter and Christmas holiday? She went with a group of volunteers and she bought food and warm drinks and she brought it to the people who sleep under the Gardiner Highway. Like,
Right.
no, anything Christian wise and Christian churches. If Chris was on, he would attest to that they're not getting any more funding for helping this, and they try to take it out of their normal donations to help people, and their church is always open, but they do a lot of stuff throughout the year, right? So it's not just happy hour once a week. Like they continuously do work with a lot of people who are in need, and anyone is welcome. They don't say, oh, it's just white people or whatever. Everybody's welcome to his church, and they will help as much as they can. But never a mention about that. It's just one Syrian guy out in the middle of blue that they empty the restaurant, or the restaurant's empty, right? It's like targeted marketing.
Right. And yeah, exactly. It's just to make us, it's the feel good propaganda. I read it in they tell us this is what they're going to do too. Like I was reading in some proposition from Ahmed Hussein where they're like, oh, we need to release more stories about immigrants and refugees to sway the public's mind on this and that. And they're like in some recent document or something I was reading, but just expect more of these things and understand that the average normie person is constantly being bombarded by this, right? Because what I mean by normie, right? I'm not trying to say it as oh, you're a normie. I just mean somebody who pays attention to the surface level of the news and politics and current events involving, this type of shit, right? Somebody who just reads the headlines and whatnot, right? So that's you gotta think about how imagine if you didn't know everything you knew and you're just kind of like occasionally reading the news here and there, right? And you're like, oh, these Syrian people are great and they bring no problems, they're just working and all this stuff. And yeah, I'm sure a lot of them are great people. I'm not saying a lot of them are terrible, but let's face it, the majority of them will be a burden on the system. I'm pretty sure a very small percentage of the Syrians have a job. So they're showing us like 5% of them that are actually successful. The others have been here for 3 years. They either are on welfare, don't have a job, still don't speak English or French, and are just sucking up resources and trying to bring their family closer here. So that's essentially all that's happening, right? But
Julie's in there was something that she did a video about the Sugar Shack in Quebec. It's like a place where you can get maple syrup and stuff, very traditional Quebecish sweets and stuff. And there's a bunch of Muslims that made a complaint because they had to be halal and had to be like, they have to have Muslim shit on the menu, and they bent the knee. So it's like, why don't you go open your own fucking Sugar Shack, right? Call it Desert Shack and sell camel sperm juice, whatever. I don't know what you guys eat out in the Middle East, but do something like that. Why is it that everybody else has to conform and change? The reason why everybody has to conform and change is because it's based on their scripture, right? All under one. These people will not bend the knee. You will bend the knee. But
yeah, that's what they do, and yeah, I don't know. People just a lot of the times don't want trouble, so they will just be like, okay, I'll just let you have it. blah blah blah. But then they just keep doing that more and more until you give people an inch, they'll take a mile. They'll just keep taking more and more and more. And it's funny how I shared one article with you and stuff. It's like, but the Passionate Eye is doing some reporting on the far right extremist groups and hate groups growing in Canada and in America, while clearly Islamic terrorism is a much bigger threat, and there's just more excuses to censor people. But I don't know, I saw if you wanted to share something earlier or something. I'm not sure.
No, I'm sharing it. Let's go through this because this is a very interesting article. I got it open by Jackie Habibi.
Yeah.
You want to read it?
Oh,
I'm sharing.
Jackie Habib. Oh yeah. So that Indian woman or something, right? But so she wrote a recent article, and I guess they're going to be doing a piece on neo-Nazi groups in the United States are the focus of documenting hate and documenting hate, right? So this will lead into another article I have from Maxime Bernier. It's got a couple of videos on there and stuff, and they're trying to tie him in with one of these hate groups essentially. And I'm sure you guys have seen it where they showed a picture of him. They're like, oh look, he's with these far right Nazis, blah blah blah, etc. And it's funny how the video, like in the article, the video they're showing, the guy's like, no, we don't hate anybody. We're just, we're giving food to the homeless and this and that. It just doesn't go side by side, right? Like it just doesn't work. I don't think this smear would stick. Most people watching it would probably be like, well, that kind of seems okay to me. Like
it's like it's like a Rubik's cube of thought, right? If you were to put thought on a Rubik's cube and you just fuck it up and you had no way to connect it. But like I like to look at things like with connections, right? It's linear connections, it's vertical, horizontal. And like you look at this, for example, most of these groups are organized around ideologies against certain religions and races with an anti-Muslim, anti-Jewish sentiments being the most common, followed by the hatred for immigrants, indigenous people, women, LGBTQ communities, groups. Now watch this. Okay, I'm going to do this. LGBTQ are hated by Muslims. Muslims hate the Jews. Jews don't want immigrants into Israel. Indigenous people are committing their own, what do we call crimes against their own women? Like lump all these stupid keywords together, and it doesn't make sense,
right?
Because the conclusion is, what has Israel been doing in the Middle East for the last 40 years, right? They had a war, the Yom Kippur War. They had the war with the Syria. They had a war with Egypt. They want to take out Iran, right? They dislike the Saudis. The Saudis dislike the Iranians. Like, this is hilarious. Because if you were to point the duplicity of this statement, it would be like trying to prove a fossil to an ultra Christian, like, hey, look, fossil, and you throw it over his head. Oh, no, God made the planet in 7 days. So, right. And then they basically wrap this present against the right in a nice fucking bow. So you have the immigrant. You can't complain about the immigrants. You can't have a say. It's not even illegal immigrants. It's immigrants, because we have an issue with that. But we can't even question the number that are coming in right now. We're going to have 1 million immigrants a year.
Right.
So now we can't say anything about women. Like, we're not allowed to say anything. Notice how men are not included here as well. Right?
No.
And then minority groups, for now, a little bit, at least, you don't have to say that, because these are Muslims. You've got immigrants, which are, for the most part, minority groups. This whole statement here says a lot.
Well, it gets worse. It gets worse, like it's just, she goes on and on. She's like, the legislation is too weak. We need more, blah, blah, blah. We need to prosecute these people. But, she goes on. She's, if you go to emerging trends below one part of the article, about halfway down.
Yep, there we go.
So,
Oops.
because the stuff at the top, she's just bringing up some statistics. Or like 60% statistics. I'll just read a little bit at the top. She's like, hate crimes in Canada are on the rise. They went up 38% or something like that, and most of them are violent offenses, but that includes like uttering threats is considered a violent offense, and criminal harassment. So that's like mean tweets. A lot of these things are considered violence. The term violence has been broadened to some degree, but emerging trends in Canada. Evan Balgord, executive director of the Canadian Anti-Hate Network, says that preventing hate groups from disseminating information online is critical. The network, which launched in 2018, took part in shutting down Canada's largest neo-Nazi podcast. So I don't even know what they're talking about. I think they're like the Ensing Hour, maybe. Which I didn't even hear. Nobody knows who the fuck they're talking about. Some hate groups, however, take to more traditional methods to spread their messages. Earlier this month, Balgord received a tip about an alt-right group. They just label all these groups as alt-right, where to me that term means you're probably you're all about Zionism and white ethno state type thing. That's what the term kind of means now. It doesn't, these people would fall under probably alt-light at the very most.
Okay, are these
these are civic nationalists? You know what I mean? Like these people they're labeling as alt-right.
Yeah. What about the Chinese who were in a massive protest at a huge Chinese mall north of Toronto? Were protesting against bringing in migrants into Markham, right? Are they alt-right? Like, where was their, look at the alt-right. They don't want immigrants into this country. They're racist, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. They're gonna encounter a lot of those problems in the future because nobody wants diversity at the end of the day. Like other groups don't want it. Nobody wants it. But it goes on. She's like, earlier this month, Balgord received a tip about the alt-right group that hung posters featuring neo-Nazi imagery about the Bathurst and St. Clair area in Toronto in an effort to recruit members. So whatever that imagery was, it probably wasn't. He says the radicalization process happens quickly and that people typically go from consuming hate material online to organizing offline. Balgord says they are increasingly involved in mainstream politics. We're seeing in terms of real life organizing. They were coming out to support Faith Goldie's campaign for mayor of Toronto. They are also excited by Maxime Bernier's party. So just a double smear there. Unlike in the U.S., Balgord says members of hate groups in Canada are concerned about optics and keeping a low profile, so they aren't vocal about their political involvement. So they're really trying to drive up. This is what the Liberals do in Canada. The Conservatives don't even talk about abortion whatsoever, and changing any abortion laws whatsoever. And then they're trying to drive up a fear that when Andrew Scheer or somebody gets elected, he's going to take away all your abortion rights. Like, no, he probably won't. But they're like, oh, look at in America, and this and that. You need to take it away. And then they're trying to create more fake neo-Nazi groups that, oh, they're not vocal, but really they're just as hateful. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, it's going to be a race to who can pander the most, right? Like, this is why you see Michelle Rample getting cozy with the ogre and his foundation, right? Look, see, we're just like the transsexuals. We love them too. Bend over your bald, saggy, bald ass. See, we love them. Equality. Oh, women, we love women too. Look, we're not going to mention abortion. That's what it's going to be about, right? And it's just going to spiral out of control, right? The left, I think, at some point, saw that, in order to stay in power, they can utilize these useful idiots and misfits. But now they've fallen into their own trap, because if you look at what's happening in the US, there's a friction in the Democratic Party, right? Between I think it's Elizabeth Warren and AOC, right? Like they're starting to fracture. Because it's who could support the dumbest, wackiest group of misfits and say, hey, see, we're inclusive. It's kind of fun to watch at the same time, right? If you're watching these idiots. But the thing is, it's spreading everywhere, right? It's spreading at work, it's spreading on your media. And when I say media, I encompass everything: video games, newspapers, TV, movies. So people are kind of like being put into little corners. Like, people are segregating themselves at work. They're removing themselves from watching any TV. For example, I went sought to watch Unplanned. It's available on torrent if you want to watch it. But I think it's good to go see it at the cinema if you just maybe
support Cineplex, to be honest.
I've asked Chris if he wants to join me to see it. Him being a Christian and all, I don't mind supporting, even if I just go and pay for the movie and I walk out because I've already seen it. Right? But just give him my support, right? I want to put my money
because right.
So go see the movie.
Sorry, go ahead.
No. So I say go see the movie Unplanned and sit through it. You might learn.
There's so few companies these days that are promoting or standing behind free speech because they're scared of the repercussions from the angry left. So it's good to see some companies, actually, take a stand to some extent, because it is a risk, because everybody watches movies. The left watches movies, the right watches movies, so they could take a big financial hit for this. Whereas a lot of other companies like Nike and whatever, they're not taking a stand. They know their audience, they know who buys their shoes. So when they come out and say, "Oh, we're listening to that black guy with the fro for whatever reason, blah blah blah," it's because they know the people who buy their shoes are not Republicans and all this shit. So they're not alienating anybody, but people like Cineplex and whatnot, like, they're taking more of a risk by standing behind free speech compared to other companies, like I said, like Nike or whatnot, right?
Well, the other thing is, remember there was a movie like 10 years ago about Jesus Christ, and they were I can't remember what it was, and then the Christian groups were upset about the way Jesus was portrayed, and they still played it anyway, right? So like the duplicity of these groups are just fucking hilarious. They're so afraid about this. And and just kind of an overview about the movie, it was very it wasn't aggressive in its message whatsoever, right? It really puts a feminine twist on it, right? It's a movie that will play on women's emotions, because it's primarily women getting
shit.
Right? Huh? No, I'm not saying it's shit. It's like there's a lot of emotional music playing, and it's not necessary, but overall is timid, right?
Right.
Like, I don't know why the left is freaking about this movie, and you're then playing into the Streisand effect, right? The more you're bitching about it, the more people want to go see it. That's the only reason I wanted to see it. Like, I know what abortion's about. I, personally been in that situation with my wife, so I don't need like a lesson in it. But I wanted to see why the left was spurging out and not wanting you to see the movie. And when you're like, really, this is what you're freaking out over? Because it might possibly change your mind. Because Planned Parenthood is a fucking business, right? And their business is pushing fetuses through the door into the ovens. That's all it is, right? It's a numbers game. So if they start losing business, so look at it from that spot.
Right.
So, and it's attacking their business model, and it's around morality.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's fucked, but I guess we'll move on from this
Yep.
this story per se, and I sent a different one.
Yeah, I'm bringing it up
with what's his name there.
Now,
go ahead.
Just before we move on, Jackie Habib, I wanted to bring the background again. It's another. I wouldn't call them a minority, but another individual who's not old stock Canadian, who's trying to tell old stock Canadians who built the country, whose ancestors who built the country, what she's about. So she's got her own website here. She's a freelance journalist, right? So we know what that means. She's not good enough to be kept on the payroll. So she's done publications for the Christian Science Monitor, East African, and many more. I previously worked as a TV reporter in Kenya for Nation Media, as a media trainer in Ghana for Journalists for Human Rights. So she's not a journalist. She's an activist, right? There's a big difference, right? Activists can write articles, but that doesn't mean that they're journalists, because when you start to become biased, I don't think you're a journalist. I'm the founder of New Lens Travel, a social enterprise that challenges misconceptions of Africa by highlighting the continent's top stories, giving travelers a chance to learn and collaborate with them. I'm a 2016-2017 fellow. You wait for it. Chats, are you ready? You guys have seen this? The Aga Khan Foundation, Canada, and 2015 fellow of the School of Social Entrepreneurs. She's a social entrepreneur. What does that mean to you?
She's useless.
Exactly. I hold a bachelor's of journalism honors certificate in nonprofit and management. This is why she has a nonprofit as well.
Right. Just Aga Khan Foundation.
That's the 50 million came out of our pockets. It just there was
These propagandists are everywhere.
Yeah, and they just scoop it out of your pockets, and then give it to Aga.
We're paying them to lie or to tell us there's racists all around us, and to hate and to fear these Canadians that are literally giving people fucking food and shit on the streets, like the story that I have right now. Like there's a couple links or videos in there where that's literally all they're doing. A lot of the times they're going around and they're like these groups are known or described as they're legally. I guess they have to say that, right?
Christ. Look, did you see this? Like, it's the total stereotype. It applies on her Twitter. I've reached peak Toronto hipster levels, and I just grabbed an iced matcha latte from a cafe that spills over into clothing store. We are co-working with our laptops on couches as people around us shop for athleisure wear. Fuck off. Get a life. Jeez, go climb a mountain.
Yeah, those people need to be taken to the barn and shown what's up.
Milk a goat.
Hey, Chris, how's it going, buddy?
I'm okay. Can you hear me okay?
Nope.
You're a little,
Can't hear
you're a little sketched.
I'm sorry.
Can
I'm in a different setup than I usually am. So
you turn up your mic?
I can't. I don't have access to that kind of stuff. I'm just doing it from my phone. I'm in a different room than I usually am.
Okay. I'm just
but if it's really that terrible, then I'll see if I can connect with a different device.
No, I'm kidding. I'm just fucking with you.
All right, I'm gonna send you this one video here. We just play the video. We can just play the videos, and then there's 3 videos in it. We'll just play it consecutively because there's just like it kind of explains the story in it. There might be a little commercial before that though. But this is Maxime Bernier poses with Northern Guard, one flashing apparent white power sign.
Photo posted by Progress. The publication says the men posing with Bernier at a Stampede event are members of Northern Guard, a group with anti-Muslim and neo-Nazi ties.
Maybe turn it up just a hair if you can, if possible.
Yeah. Ask me for a photo. I don't look at the background. It was a public event, and these people came to the public event. What I'm saying to people, people who don't share our values, they're not welcome in our party. People who are racist and anti-Semitic, they're not welcome in our party.
He says his party has a full slate of Alberta candidates and says he's the only federal leader who would stand up for Alberta.
All right, so that's just the media trying to be like, oh, are you for racist? It's like such a loaded question too. It's like, well, obviously I'm not for racist. It's like, are you for people who hate others for their skin? Well, it's like if it's somebody for less immigration, then no, it's not somebody who's a racist. But I guess to the left, to the media, that's what they're thinking about, right? They're like, but you can easily get around those questions by just being like, yeah, I don't like racist. I agree with racist, which I agree with, right?
He did that. Right. I don't agree. But the thing is, you notice this is the thing that I've seen today on another YouTube conservative.
There's 2 other videos in that on that article though as well. If you go down, yeah,
right.
It goes a little bit more in detail there.
Okay, just want to add, if I may. So, conservative resurgence. He had this YouTube video where he was talking about the Democrat. What's his name now? Chris, help me out. He under Obama, he was a vice president.
Biden.
And no one, they're all calling him a racist and shit, and he's apologizing on all the circuits that he's campaigning on. And even Michelle Obama, when she was asked, like, so what do you think about Obama? And she basically did a no comment on the guy.
You mean on Biden?
Yeah.
Oh,
so,
wow.
it doesn't matter what you say because like he states, I know Chris is going to jump in. Well, she's amazing, but maybe not. But it's like, why don't you just accuse someone? And that's all these people are doing. We're always on the defensive. You might as well say, sir, why did you rape that girl? What are you talking about? I didn't rape anyone. It's like they're just throwing this shit at you. Like, why did you steal that car? And it doesn't even apply. So they're making these assumptions, and the people, conservative people, are always on the defensive. No, I didn't say that. So he handled it in the most common way anyone would. No, we don't agree. I'm like, okay, well, where did you get this information that we are? Okay, can you elaborate? Can you provide me some detail? Do you have any evidence that you can provide me with this right now? Throw it back at them. I understand that you guys are very racist. I heard that you support ISIS. Throw it back at them. But nobody does. Nobody thinks in that kind of colorful way. Anyways, I'll play this video now.
Well, I was actually very disappointed with Mr. Obama's response. I mean, certainly the events that they're talking about, and just to provide some context, Biden as a senator commonly, worked with people who were very much segregationist to get legislation passed. And it's like, and I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, well, you're not going to agree with everybody that you work with in the workplace, and certainly not in politics, but at some points you have to work together, even if you don't agree with everything they say, to get things done, to pass legislation. Doesn't mean the legislation was terrible for Black people or anybody, but it's to get anything done. That's what you have to do as a politician, especially when you don't have the support and you still want to get something done. So that response I thought was really disappointing. I mean, it would be very easy for her, and I think it reflected badly on her and on Obama's judgments, because frankly,
they're both
this is the person that you selected to be your vice president, and when you ran for re-election, it's not like you got rid of him, and all the things we're talking about well predated his vice presidency and were very much public and were not a surprise, and he was still your choice. So, I mean, maybe Michelle never personally agreed with the choice of Joe Biden, and that's what she was reflecting. But either way, your husband was the president, and so what you say is a reflection on him. Anyways, I think her response to disappointment and disingenuous have been very easy for her to provide some context and to say, look, I don't agree with some of the people who he had to work with, but sometimes in government you got to work with people you disagree with to get people done. And maybe Joe feels differently now, but he served us well, or something like that. But I mean, instead you just unperson the guy. So
we got a donation.
And actually, I know one other thing is, though, I know the Obamas are pissed at Joe for not running last election, not running against Trump. They wanted Joe to run, and he felt he was told by the Democratic establishment, no, it's Hillary's turn. So he bowed out, and Obama did not want him to bow out. He wanted him to run. So I think they partially blamed Joe for Trump being the president of the United States, because he didn't compete against Hillary. So there's some inside baseball for you guys. So anyways.
Fuck those faggots. Chuck Ford for $5 said, AJ, have you seen the latest episode of Murdoch? How bad can it get? Hope your summer is going well, my man. No, I have not seen it. I haven't seen too much of their stuff. I've seen a few of their shows and episode, but I'm not a avid viewer or anything like that. But I'll check it out, man. Thank you for the donation, though. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate the not condolences, but happy summer or whatever. I hope your summer is going well as well, man. But yeah, I don't know, with the whole what Joe Biden thing, it's kind of like irrelevant, right? Like, he's gonna lose, gonna lose, and Trump's gonna win.
True.
Kamala Harris is gonna be his vice, and they're going to lose, right? Because they can't play this game anymore. Like Fred was mentioning earlier, there's a division going on between, like the far left and the moderate left, like the Bidens and the Hillarys with the AOCs and shit. So they're trying to straddle that line. We're like, okay, how do I not offend my increasingly far left base while also, standing behind the guy I want to be elected and win, because he has said and done and been with a lot of different people, but they've gotten like Robert Byrd and shit, like was a part of the KKK. They got over that shit, but whatever, right? I don't know. It's I honestly, I don't pay as much attention to American politics anymore, because it's just too much. It's just too much. And I'm like, fuck it. I'll still pay somewhat attention, but like, I'm not as much as I was during the 2016 election and 2015 or whatnot, or a little bit afterwards. I was way too into it. I was too into it, where I was like, okay, there's too much. There's so much shit going on in Canada that I'm missing out by focusing too much on this, and like learning the intricacies of like the case with Russia, especially with the Russia. It's like after a while, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna completely ignore this until we find out that there's no collusion. Oh, but collusion wasn't a crime. And that's what was it. Whatever they were searching for, they didn't find anything. Or there's 16 indictment. Whatever. Okay, Trump isn't gone. That's what people were saying it was gonna happen. That didn't happen. Let's move on. But yeah, it's just fucking frustrating. But let's get back to the Canadian stuff here. So Northern Guard raises concern in Halifax, right? So we'll play that.
We
see what they have to say.
We take care of our vets. We talk to our vets. We're just true Canadian patriots.
The Canadian.
Oh, it kind of cut out there. I don't know if it's Oh, there we go.
Halifax concern says they aren't racist. Their mandate is to put views first.
It's almost like they're putting the people in charge of putting Canada behind everything and taking care of other countries. We need to take care of our own backyards first.
Halifax police aren't aware of any criminal activity associated with them, but their belief is concerning for.
I don't know, it keeps cutting out on me. I don't know why.
Discrimination.
I think it's a message of exclusion. I think it's a message of division. It sounds very eerily similar to chants that I've heard down south. And kind of politics. I hope.
John Watson being harassed online for voicing. He's part of a self-described group who want to
it's just
far right movement. Posters.
I don't know why it's man.
Awareness.
It's cutting out all the time.
Times of crisis, people often look for explanations that are simple, that blame people they feel they can reach.
Alex has studied. Reads there are many pressing social.
Is the sound going up and down, or is it just me?
Fuck it.
Healthcare, job
Stop
security.
it. Just stop it.
I don't know why this one is giving me trouble. The other one didn't.
Yeah, I don't know. It's why it does that. Fucking, I just have my mic here, and when I play video, I just put it in the direction of my speaker. Like it seems to work pretty well. I'm not sure why.
My speakers are.
Messaging is a scapegoat.
Okay,
desirable. Who doesn't count as a citizen?
Just rewind.
Start asking those.
That sounds better there. That sounds better.
He's part of a self-described as citizen.
Yeah, I don't know. Like
Posters around Halifax aim to raise awareness of the Northern Guard.
People.
I don't know if Chris was using his loop back, we'd be able to play it through his, but he's not on the computer.
Yeah, I can't share it still on my end. I probably have to like restart my computer and then maybe it would work, or I don't know why. But today it just won't let me share my screen whatsoever. So I don't know why it has such terrible audio. But you paused it there? Okay. Okay, but while we're, if you fix the audio or something, I don't know, we could share a different article where I can just actually read the article or something, because it's not video. Here, I'm gonna throw that.
Yeah,
it's okay. Yeah, I threw it in the chat. Yeah, it's just fuck it, man. We're gonna have to another day figure out the audio issues on your end with sharing or something. Because right now it's just not gonna work.
Now, just
fuck it.
I can probably.
Yeah, well, I don't want to make people wait through minutes of like tinkering and stuff like that. We'll fix it another day, and whatever. move past it. But you know, within the article, they're just trying to align Maxime Bernier with this hate group, this apparent hate group that is just saying, "Hey, we just want our money to go to Canadians instead of the entire world," right? Like that's pretty much it, right? You know, we don't want all of our money going away to other people. But hey guys in the chat, thank you for coming along. Everybody hit the like, share, subscribe. You know, that all helps. But this is an article, you know, I put it in the description. That's why I want to cover it at the very least. But people are dying unnecessarily because of racial bias in Canada's healthcare system, researchers say. So, you know, while some people have raised concerns about anti-Indigenous racism in the Northwest Territories healthcare system, an expert says it's not just an issue in the territories. Dr. Janet Smiley said it's one of the biggest health inequities between Indigenous and non-Indigenous people in Canada. To me, the most important impacts are that people are dying unnecessarily or experiencing disability, she said. Smile has been studying the phenomenon in Canada's healthcare system for 15 years. She's a researcher. Said cultural bias can also lead to higher rates of commercial tobacco use among First Nation, Inuit, and Métis people because they're not getting the same public health messages as other Canadians. So apparently they can't read the packs, the labels on packs of cigarettes like the rest of Canadians. I don't know, maybe it needs to be in like Aboriginal text or something, and then they'll be able to read it. But I'm getting the same messaging that you're getting, so now we're getting blamed for their higher rates of tobacco use. It's like it's because of racism. Oh well, you're not giving enough public messaging to them. That's why they smoke more. You're like, no, that's not why. There's an example of what Smiley calls implicit or unconscious racism rather than intentional. I have a hypothesis. I would love for someone to disprove it. The most important and dangerous kinds of racism that people encounter is actually racism that's hidden. It's even hidden to the person who is having the racist behavior, she said. So that's the most dangerous type of racism. It's the microaggressions and you know, misgendering somebody, or you know, these types of things. These are the worst types of aggressions, and you don't even know it. You think you're a good person. You think you're giving money to these poor Africans and in Swahili, but really you're just you're privileged, whatever. I don't know. But Smiley said there are ways to combat the problem. She said that at St. Michael's in Toronto, they're testing intervention techniques. So this is just another way to give people jobs, to make, I think, these university degrees useful. Intervention techniques developed in the US that frame racism as a bad habit that can be broken. Strategies include catching yourself when you're stereotyping and going outside your comfort zone, like attending an event where the majority of people don't think or act like you. You know, that's bullshit too, as well, because they don't care about diversity of thought whatsoever. Just want to make you uncomfortable, put you in a place where people are telling you you're privileged or something. But you know, a lot of this article kind of gets into how they want to retrain a lot of people in the healthcare system to teach them cultural sensitivity training, and you know, all this other crap. So it's just a bunch more money to create more bureaucracy. You know, that's the whole guise. You know, that's what they're really trying to do. It's all pushed with racism, this, racism, that. But then, you know, as you read the article, it's like, oh, but we need more money for this, and we need more money to hire these people and these people, and it's just never ending, right? And that's how they use racism nowadays. That's why, you know, legitimate racism that does happen, me including, will probably take it less seriously because I'll be like, fuck, man, everything's racist. So I'll just ignore it, which I do a lot of the times. But so I don't know. What do you guys think about the racism? Have you experienced racism in the healthcare system, Chris? Maybe I'm sure there's some bias.
When outside of that nonsense issue, I think makes a real case. If they really want to be humanitarians, they need to make sure to invest in English lessons or French lessons for these people, so that they can access the full breadth, not only of services, but of things, period, in this country and around the world on the internet. They won't feel as isolated because they'll know one of the two official languages of this country enough to function, enough to see, oh, what do you mean? Because I don't smoke. Fred, I think you smoke sometimes. But I haven't really, and I know in Ontario, we can't even see the pack of cigarettes. They're behind these big, I think when you go to the convenience store, they're like locked up behind some pattern now. You can't even see the packs anymore like you used to. But I distinctly remember that like half the pack is like some grotesque photo of, rotting lungs or diseased teeth or whatever else. And if that isn't enough to get the message without explicit words, then have at it, Haas. Let the smoking take care of what Darwin couldn't.
Yeah, right. It's you can see it just like I can see. You have eyes. You're not blind. So, like, what kind of ridiculous statement is, oh, well, there's not enough public awareness, and this is why they smoke more.
No, instead of trying to accommodate these, I don't want to say fringe groups, but I'm just saying the Métis. I don't know how many Métis there are, but there aren't 1 million of them in Canada. There probably aren't 100,000 of them in Canada, even most of the Native groups. But I mean, yes, have your language, have your culture, sure, but understand that there's 2 official languages in Canada, and if you want to access everything, you got to know one of them. You have to. You're doing yourself a disservice. You're shooting yourselves in the foot by not being functionally literate in at least one of the 2 languages. You're literally killing if they're using the excuse that these people don't understand, then they're literally killing themselves by not knowing one of the official languages. Enough to say, oh my gosh, smoking is bad. Now, that being said, does this article mention anything about the source of the cigarettes? Because I know that in Ontario, at least, several Native bands make their own cigarettes and sell their own cigarettes on the reservations. Does it say anything about the source of the cigarettes? Because those cigarettes, you don't have to have the diseased packaging like you do if you buy it in the store.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's just everything is to do with racism. That's the answer for everything. Everything that every discrepancy in society is the fault of racism. And I don't know why these people keep asking me if I'm a fucking doctor. No, I'm not a fucking doctor, you idiot. We're talking in general fucking terms, but this is what liberals do as well. They like to they nitpick these little fucking things. They'd be like, but you're not a doctor. But censorship is what the government. It's a legalese term.
so while I hear your point about the everything being racist, I intentionally ignored that because it's irrelevant. It's silly, all right. I mean, especially in this context. If these people were genuinely interested in doing more than virtue signaling, they'd give these people practical tools to survive rather than treating them as multi-generational children. But that's not what we're talking about here. So, and because then it creates a system of victimhood where, okay, well, you're not giving me what I want, and I'm a person of color, so I'm a racist. Well, that does apply in some cases, but this is not one of those cases. These people, this is a deep-seated issue that goes back multiple generations. It's a poverty mindset, and there's some cultural pieces there as well. But the 2 of them come together, And this one is as simple as ensuring that, look, yes, please keep your culture, please, yes, whatever. But language needs to be a part of this. And these guys are complaining about isolation. Yes, of course, there's physical isolation and cultural isolation. But if you don't know the language of the majority of people, then you're isolating yourselves. And it's in the age in 2019. Yes, I know internet isn't everywhere, but there's no shortage of resources to bridge that gap if you want to bridge it. So that's my thought on this one. Rather than go and appeal to every little group, let's get a common theme and move forward. And that applies to people coming to the country too. I know Fred feels this way about this too.
Well, yeah,
you know, all these accommodations and things. Yes, sure, I get it. You want to make people feel welcome, but
their intention isn't
you
to
need
help
know the
these
basics.
people. You know, like their intention isn't to actually help natives or the groups that have discrepancies and this and that. It's to acquire funding for this or that, or to get a job for diversity training so they can go in a company and get paid $50 million like Eric Holder or whatever, the guy that worked for Obama, the whatever, he gets paid. I don't know how many millions of dollars he got paid to teach diversity training to Starbucks. You know, it's a huge industry. It's a huge multi-billion-dollar industry. They don't give a fuck about these people or anything like that, or even like fixing the gaps. It's just more shit that they can use to get more money out of you, more funding, more whatever. But because as we see, you know, their situations have not improved. They're not going to improve.
I just saw something in the news about this reservation in Northern Ontario out of Wasp. God, I'm mispronouncing their name. I learned to say it a little while ago. I forgot. But like many native reservations, they really struggle with clean water. And now it's gone to the point where the chemicals they put in to clean the water are so hazardous, people can't even bathe in the water. So they got another emergency warning that's even worse. It's like the solution is worse than the cure is worse than the disease. And it's kind of one of those things where, and then I mean, I can't even blame the natives for that one because they've been lied to for a long time about the water situation, but it's just one of those things. And then the other thing I was thinking when you were talking there, AJ, and you were listening to you talk about these solutions, is I almost think of the pharmaceutical industry and medicine, where, you know, there's no incentive for these folks to cure diseases when they can make more money by, you know, treating the disease. You still keep it, you're still buying your pills, versus curing it, it's done, it's over, you're finished. Versus, you know, treating it, you still have to come every week for your pills. And likewise with some of these agencies, as much as they talk about fighting and killing, you know, poverty and whatnot, okay, so then when poverty is done, what are you going to do for a job?
Right. Right? There's no incentive to stop poverty.
Exactly. When I hear about the amount, the relatively small amount that they quote, and I don't remember a number off the top of my head, but remembering it was fairly small, that would take to make sure everybody in the world was fed. And I think about all the money that's donated to these charities and that governments put into these programs. And I'm like, why isn't it, if the number's that small, why isn't this solved yet? Because I'm pretty sure between everything, you know, but one, you know, there's an industry, and two, that poverty is serving someone's best interests. Like they want certain people to be poor. They want certain people to be hungry. Like there's a reason why things are the way they are. People want to continue them this way. Some people want to continue them this way. I'm not trying to go down some conspiratorial route. Hi, Blue Apple. But anyways, but that's kind of how I feel on that one.
Don't you know? It was all the aliens. Blame it all on them. But no, seriously, it's not conspiratorial to say that poverty is an industry. The Democrats have been doing it for years, right? Keeping people suppressed means that someone will be there to offer you a hand, but usually that comes with a cost, right?
Yes.
So that's why we never solve poverty, because like NGOs that are there to sometimes, like, you know, they do these little aid skirmishes in poor countries, and it says there in the actual NGO charters that whatever monies they collect for whatever event that they're doing, whether it's helping people in Africa stuff, they only need to make 20% of the disbursements of all the monies they collect. So it's a fucking business, right? They got to keep the lights on. They got people shuffling around paperwork and stuff and calling up for donations. It's a big business. So you want to solve poverty? Well, one of the first steps is to give people more autonomy, right? And get people to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. Sure, there could be situations where you would actually aid them in giving the, like, producing opportunities for them, right? But this whole thing of issue of, you know, and why would they care about natives? Their purchasing power sucks. No.
Define poverty, right? You know, at the same time, you know, it's kind of we could raise the living standards of people, I think, and but there's poverty in comparison to what, you know what I mean? Like, right, obviously there are people today that are living off $2 a day or whatever, living off trash, and you look at people live in Haiti or Haiti or whatever it's called, like it's a shithole.
They're not living.
And
that's just existing.
It's terrible, and it's like there's no sanitation, and you know, people could build some fucking sanitation for those people or something, like some working facilities of some kind. But what I mean is that, yeah, I think one day we could raise the living standards so people aren't necessarily you know, eating dirt cookies and whatnot. But yeah, there'll always be poverty and whatnot. You know, that's kind of hard to.
Then you have people who are professionally poor, right?
Yeah,
they
yeah.
Situations, and they you know, ask for handouts. The thing is, we need to give people more autonomy, and for them to have more autonomy, we have to have a society where we're not restricting people's goals, we're not limiting them, right? Giving people opportunities just because, you know, we should, it's the nice thing, because sometimes Johnny is just too fucking stupid and he needs to be put back in the class, but he might have other uses, right? And these are the things that we need to recognize. But you know, I have an article up here. This is from 2002. It's like on the Med Group forum, and it's a guy named three people: Cherry S, Dolan J, Power B, and Azad. The authors described the results of a survey they carried out in 2000 to determine the status of cultural sensitivity training in 16 Canadian medical schools, using structured telephone interviews or of associate and assistant deans of curriculum directors and curriculum coordinators. Their goal was to obtain a descriptive analysis of school-specific objectives, curriculum content, methods, and evaluation formats. The survey was prompted by the growing concern that the cultural diverse society's medical education has failed to keep pace with the changing composition of the patient population. Now, I mentioned this is kind of tied into the video I did about, and they age restricted it, which is hilarious, on tax dollars supporting Chinese old age homes. And the Chinese were complaining about their old folks not getting people of Asian descent looking after them, right? So they like, oh, we need to hire more Chinese nurses because, you know, they're you know, more culturally understanding. Bullshit. An old guy from Mongolia is the same as an old guy from America or Canada. It doesn't matter. They have all the same bodily dysfunctions at that age. So what are you saying? It's just a preferred in group that you want because they can't speak English, right? And, you know, we're importing the elderly here to look after them. So this is just insane because, like Chris mentioned, like learn the language. That's it. If a Muslim has to remove her veil in front of a doctor, does he have to be Muslim? Well, what if there are no Muslims doctors around? So she would never remove a veil in front of and what if there's only male doctors? At some point, she's going to have to make a decision, right? Okay, this will save my life, so I have to remove my veil so you can check.
We need to make it law throughout all of Canada that they can't wear hijabs, just like Quebec. We need to make the same laws that Quebec has throughout all of Canada.
They're talking about inclusive multicultural healthcare, because of the multiculturalism should be pushed into universities for med students. And this has a kind of a duplicate effect, right? Because this also then teaches a social justice aspect to a number of growing medical community. And they come out and support a lot of these leftist policies. So it's a double-edged sword. And this was in 2002.
Yeah, it's all just ridiculous nonsense. Be sensitive to my culture. Like, no, you're a white male. Blah blah blah. Whatever. I don't know. All this shit is just cultural Marxism that's meant to, in my opinion, I don't know, divide people. I'm sure that a lot of people have good intentions and they're like, oh, I just want to be sensitive to other people and I don't want to hurt their feelings. And I'm sure you don't. But it's like at this point, and I don't give a shit. And Earl said, wouldn't the hijab ban violate the NAP? Yeah, probably would. But at this point, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. It's like, it's like these people, they try to, I'm not saying you, Earl, but they're like, oh, we're going to use the system to fuck you while you're in the system, but you can't use anything. You gotta have your hands tied behind your back while I pummel you in the face. You're like, nah. It's like, hey, that's borders are against the NAP. It's like, yeah, but I got welfare people. We have welfare payments. We have all this redistribution of wealth and people stealing my money. So I'm obviously gonna be for border security and keeping illegals out of my country because there's a lot of other theft that's going on currently. So it's like, yeah, man, I'm going to have to play the fucking game while I'm in the game. So it's technically, against the NAP. They're not against me by wearing the whatever, but it's only actually to do in public places that have to do with the government, which is an institution which is also against the NAP by itself. It's using force against people. Like just the institution of government itself is against it, and they're saying you can't use it in government affairs or working for schools or public places, etc. Right?
So if I can,
but go ahead, Fred.
Yeah, I just want to cover this article since I have Chris on. I want to hear his thoughts on this. Chris, you there? You awake, buddy? You're calling Chris. Okay. So I'm going to read this. Beacon United Church in Yarmouth aiming to be more inclusive LGBTQ community. Part of the Affirming Process Church has underway is to ensure, man, the writing there, is to ensure they are not excluding any members of the public. Yarmouth, when Jack Murphy's spouse was dying of cancer years ago, he did what any loving husband would do. He provided care, comfort, and support when the time came that no more could be done. He said his goodbyes as his loved one, who had been with him for 7 years, died in his arms. They were a loving married couple. They were also a gay couple. Murphy says shouldn't have set them apart from others. When Murphy married his husband, Danny Poirier, in the spring, I'm not going to read this, blah, 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 blah. They were still the same people in the photo they were taken before it was taken, and the only difference was they become more public about their relationship. But their marriage caused changes for them in the Catholic Church they belong to. Murphy says the Archbishop said they could no longer receive communion, and Poirier, who for years had helped direct the choir, wasn't allowed to do that anymore. Religion was still very important in the couple's lives, so they sought a new church. They found Beacon United Church in Yarmouth. At their first service, Murphy recalls a hymn being played in which the lyrics said, "Come in, come and sit down. You are part of the family." They saw us as a loving gay couple, but they also saw us as a couple just like anybody else because we were. Murphy says the church always made him feel as if they belong, and now the church is taking more steps to ensure they have this feeling. In June,
Why aren't these churches vandalized?
Yep. In June, Beacon United Church voted to become an affirming church. What that means, Chris, maybe if you can chime in. That publicly welcomes members of the LGBT
non-binary.
Community. Oh, non-binary. Is that what that means? Jesus.
No, I don't know.
Okay.
Probably.
And
so I'll say this just to jump in about the United Church. So the pieces they're talking about comforting, accepting, and whatnot, to a certain degree, are absolutely Christian principles. Absolutely Christian principles. But that's tempered with, let's make sure we're following the gospel. Let's make sure we're following Christ. Let's make sure that we don't forget his sacrifice and what that means for us and the way we live our lives today and his promises for the future. And that piece is missing from the United Church these days. They're kind of picking and choosing their spots. I mean, we all do, but they're really picking and choosing their spots. And I don't even know why they bother. Even the United Church itself, I don't even know why. If you don't want anything to do with the religious part, the faith part, the relationship with God part, then why even call yourself a church? Let's call yourself a club. Let's call yourself a support group.
There's
it's very interesting that they cling to that term, even though they don't follow its principles.
No, right?
Very interesting.
That's like
it's like we talked about in a few. Sorry, Jay. It's like we talked about in a few streams in the past. I think you guys were talking about it last week after I dropped. I listened in for a little bit, and it was about how gays insist on like marriage. And okay, you want marriage? Okay, yes, in the state, fine. We can come up with a different name because marriage is really between men. No, we want to be married. It has to be married. That's the term. That's what we want. Okay, we'll give it to you. Okay, but we're not going to force the churches to marry you. Okay, that's fine. No, we change our mind. We want the churches to marry us too. We want you to force the churches to marry us too. Okay. No. Not doing that. Okay, we're going to take you to court. So I mean, it's just very interesting that they're digging into these institutions that traditionally don't support them. Like, why do you want to be a part of a club that doesn't want you to be a member?
What do they mean? An affirming church, though. What does that mean?
Yeah, I guess affirming that see, part of the thing about church is that in Christian faith is that nobody is perfect. Nobody is perfect, but we're trying our best, and we're going to come together once a week to kind of reset and kind of get back on track, or even connect with people who are like-minded and support each other, but within that Christian environment. But it doesn't mean that you're perfect. It doesn't mean that. But what these guys are looking for, this goes back to the pride we were talking about last week, is you're trying to say, yeah, you're fine exactly the way you are. You do not have to change. But really, some people need to change. Some people have things they need to work on. Some people really do. And I'm a little concerned that
this verses in the Bible that says not to sleep with another man.
Like it does say that, yeah.
Multiple.
It does say that in about 2 or 3 places. So yeah.
More than 2 or 3. And it's like,
and for women not to be whores. I don't know.
So that's just the thing. They're reading parts of it. But that's Protestants for you, though, right?
Wow, don't get me started on that one. But okay, I think in society
I'm
these days,
kidding.
Protestants and Catholics need to find ways to work together and
I'm
not have
joking.
traditional divisions
I'm
happen.
an atheist, but yeah, right. So I'm joking.
Yeah, I hear you.
But people love to talk about Catholic priests all the time. So I'm just saying. I'm just saying. It was like,
Hey man,
every
school
once in a while.
teachers, every people in these public, again, statistics don't matter to these people. I saw an article. I'll try and dig it up
I'm
and
being
share it with
petty.
you guys on Saturday. But like the people in clergy and whatnot are the lowest. Positions of trust are the lowest of rates of that kind of thing. It's teachers and police actually that have the highest. But I'll find it. I'll find the article for next time.
Oh, really? Yeah, I know. I saw something about that the other day about teachers and the higher rates, but yeah, nobody's gonna talk about that, right?
Well, they do, but it always bring up the articles where it's like the semi-attractive teacher and like the student, and you got like the whole hot for teacher thing going on there. That's really what they focus on. It's like, well, he got kind of lucky, and it's like, no, you should really lock her up and throw away the key and throw her in with the pedophile colony down there in Florida or somewhere. It's crazy the double standard.
Right. The double standard. All right. Well, here I got this one tweet, I guess, from Facebook that I wanted to kind of mention. Where I guess I'll give it to Fred or whoever wants to share it. Where they literally like advocated violence pretty much against people like Paul Joseph Watson, etc. So, but they deleted it and they switched their tweet around. I sent it in the what do you call it, the chat thing. But this is from News Shoot. This guy, I think he got his channel or his original Twitter account removed. Something Monroe, I think his name is. But he always had like long, good threads with a lot of information. He has one on Jeffrey Epstein that goes through a lot of stuff if you're kind of like interested in that. But go to this guy, subscribe to him, News Shoot or whatever. But you see here he's like, Facebook says it's okay to make threats of violence against individual groups that come with these marks. So if you click on the pictures, Fred, you'll see it'll come up and you'll see it and it says, unless the target is an organization. Okay, it says statements of intent to commit severity violence or calls for high severity violence. And it goes in parentheses, unless the target is an organization or individual covered in the dangerous individuals and organization policy, or is described as having carried out violent crimes or sexual offenses where a criminal predator status has been established by media reports, market knowledge. So they even removed that part too, whereas like probably the pedophiles were like, hey, what the hell? But yeah, so the dangerous individuals and organization policy, if you look at the bottom right, Facebook bans Alex Jones and Laura Loomer for violating its policies against dangerous individuals. So pretty much, yeah, you can do it as long as it's these people. But if you go down, they switch it and they have the new one. If you scroll down a little bit, click on it. Now it just says statements of intent. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I didn't say anything. I was just scrolling down.
Oh, statements of intent to commit high severity violence or calls for high severity violence, including content where no target are specified but a symbol. So they just took it away, right? So now it's pretty much how it should be, essentially. But what the fuck? What is this overreach? Like this passed a bunch of people okayed this, and we're like, oh yeah, okay, that's good, unless the target is an organization or individual covered in the dangerous individual. So
I think that speaks to the level of groupthink in the very diverse Facebook workplace. That no matter what you don't just need diversity of color and gender, all 56 of them, but you need diversity of thought. That's actually the most important thing, not just what's on the outside, but what people are thinking in their background. And so, you know, probably wasn't until something that's got public and went out to be in the public conversation where you have that unfiltered diversity of thought, when they got feedback that told them, okay, actually, oh yeah, maybe it isn't a good idea. Maybe we need to tweak this. But to your point, AJ, lots of people looked at this at Facebook, I'm sure, up and down, legal probably reviewed it, all kinds of things. And it's a little sad indication that, I mean, a confirmation that a bunch of the same people thinking the same things, with the same, you know, kind of background politically or ideologically, and that explains some of what we're seeing here. So that's what I got out of it. Very sad. Sad for everybody involved. Mm-hmm.
I know it's fucking terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But one sec here. But yeah, you know, so that's just something that Facebook is doing. But you know, it's just a matter of time before I think that company goes to shit. But you know, they do have Instagram and WhatsApp and a couple other things. I think that's what helps them stay kind of viable as well. But I got this video from Ezra Levant. If one of you guys wants to play it, it's talking about pensions and unfunded liabilities and stuff, right? How
Can I offer just one thing? I haven't seen this video, but I haven't seen this video, but I'm guessing at the end there's a link to a petition.
I'm not in this video. I don't think so. It cuts out.
Okay. Okay. But then there's a link to a page where I can donate to a legal fund.
Right.
Okay.
Probably.
Okay.
At some point. Well, he is, you know, does need those shekels, but you know, to be honest, you know, I'm like, there's not a lot of other kind of right wing type reporters in Canada, and
true,
you know, they don't do half bad on some of their shit, and
true,
you know, they're not like, you know, Ezra Levant himself is kind of like iffy and whatnot, but like I said, there's like what do you have? What's the right wing without Rebel is the National Post.
Yeah, you know, I think if the news media, if the major members of the news media got scrutinized as much as Ezra had, and I'm modern Ezra apologist at all, but if they got scrutinized as much as he has, I'm sure we'd find just as much, if not more, dirt on some of those prominent folks than you do on Ezra. So this is we know too much about Ezra. That's why you and I are like. Argh. But to your point, the Rebel is the only major real right leading source. So it is what it is.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Right. You know. Hold on. Okay. So we'll play this video and then I'll probably end it out because it's getting kind of late. I gotta end it around 11:30. You know, it's getting close to 3-hour mark. Plus, we had kind of a fuck up early on. There's all a bunch of lag and whatnot. But yeah, you know, that's all I pretty much had. I was also gonna bring up, you know, that trend of people licking food. I don't know if you guys heard about that.
Yeah, we talked about it a bit last time. I think it was pretty disgusting.
Right.
There's a new video of this kid. She's laying on a.
I saw a 37-year-old guy do it.
Oh, really? Jeez.
Yeah.
You see the gay guy who backwashed some mouthwash and
Tran.
back in Tran. Yeah, it was disgusting. Anyways, let's play this video
of this kid that's lying in top of the vegetables.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Yay. This is what I'm trying to eat healthy. I don't know. Anyways, it's a good excuse to go back to good old fried chicken. All right. Let's play this video.
You're just filling all the stereotypes, eh?
Hey, buddy. Listen, man. Listen, if you don't like fried chicken, you're not a human being.
That's true. I love chicken.
Delicious. It's delicious.
I eat chicken almost every day.
Yeah. Come on, folks. Yeah.
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 Like delicious. It's good. No, it's just I just had to, like, I couldn't let this.
It's okay. It's okay. As soon as the words left my mouth, I'm like, folks.
You're just like, I know. I was like, so cheap, and I was like, I don't even want to.
No, it's
so
okay.
Cheap, but I'm like,
it's
I have
okay.
to.
It's okay.
It's
I
so cheap.
myself.
It's good.
You know, I left myself completely open for that one. The words left my mouth, and I'm like, okay, all right. Let me have it. All right.
Yeah.
And then,
again, calling you like
they're putting it with a bunch of growth hormones and shit. You got to be careful how much, because the kids are now starting to gain a lot of weight because of it.
Yeah. No, for sure.
What about hormones? Does that come?
Well, they're injecting all of this, some of the chicken, a lot of the chicken and stuff in the grocery store. They inject it with hormones to make it grow to a, like if you Google like you buying chicken in a store or even eggs in a store, you know, 50, 60 years ago, it looks like a totally different thing. Like the chickens these days are like supersized. The pieces are supersized compared to what they used to be. It's because a lot of it's the breeding, yes, but also hormones as well being injected into these things to grow them to abnormal sizes. Turkey is another one that used to not be as big. So cows, of course, definitely not. Again, just being able to corporate efficiencies, right? We need to get more meat and process and yada yada. So here we go. So
gaining a lot of weight, and they used to buy that cooked chicken. I would fry it up for him, but I was told by a medical professional that lay off the chicken, start feeding him more salmon and stuff. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Just feed him raw meat.
You're such a caveman.
Some bites. You need to do some. Teach him how to some archery like Joe Rogan. You can do some bison, some elk. You know, hunt your own food. Buy a big freezer.
He'll eat less because he's eating raw meat. Like, you know, he'll only be able to stomach so much at first. So you know,
even this. Sometimes I'll throw in the Croatian circles at the deli. We like to eat a lot of lamb. Right, and lamb is a bit healthier meat. Because, okay. Such a caveman. Anyway, so we have something called ciabatta. It's like sausages. Chris, I got to take you there one day. I think you'll love it.
Yeah, not this weekend, but next weekend we can go for sure.
Sure. And next weekend I'm working. I'm doing a release.
Oh.
Anyway, I won't be on Saturday because I'll be doing one of those late nighters. Anyway, I was giving the chicken to the cat, right? And it's good. You can give like dogs and cats sometimes raw food. It's good for them. But my cats puked up the chicken, so that tells you a lot.
Yes, that is a good sign. If the cat won't eat it, then you should either.
Have a good night, boss man. See you on Saturday.
Night.
Yeah, but anyways, are you gonna play that video?
I sent it to you.
Oh, me?
I can't share it.
I can't share it from my phone, so it'll be you.
Oh, you guys suck.
Yeah, well, I would be sharing it. Trust me, it would have went along quicker because
I fixed my. This works. I'm just eating nuts.
Oh yeah, you like them nuts, don't you?
The bigger the better with Fred.
Yeah. It's probably eating cashews. Walnuts.
Almonds. I hate walnuts.
Peanuts are bad for you, I'm pretty sure.
No, they're not.
Are they?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're bad for you if you eat too many of them. Nuts in general.
Better than eating.
They're toxins. That's why you should eat raw meat.
Yeah.
Right.
I've never been a fan of nuts. The carnivore diet has some appeal though, but
I'm serious.
I just can't buy that.
I know, right?
I think you'd have to. It's almost too good to be true.
Designed by politicians who, of course, have a very strong bias towards winning the very next election, not ensuring your pension is fully funded decades from now. I mean, the CPP pension plan started paying out
right away, immediately after it was created. So those very first retirees, they were just getting a government grant. It wasn't a true return on their own investment they were getting back. They were taking money from future generations, of course. The Canadian Pension Plan Investment Board,
oops, sorry,
a pretty flashy website. They're pretty proud of themselves. They have $392 billion under management, they say, with an 11.1% rate of return. Now that's what they'll earn on your money.
By the way, I just want to mention that Water is Wet. This is the same group that manages the pension fund for the teachers. Same group, making a killing.
Yeah, and you'll see how much they're making. 11%.
Oh no, because you will actually get a negative. Because your money that you pay every time you get a payroll deduction, you see the CPP taken off it. It's not set aside for you in your own account, marked with your name, like a real pension plan or a real bank account or an RSP. It just goes into a giant pot. And people who retire before you, well, they already spent some of that money on them. People retiring today are taking some of your money from the future. So by the time you actually retire, you won't even get your money back. You literally would do better if you stuck your money in a mattress. Or as a more normal country might do, lets you have your own pension plan, lets you invest your money yourself, as many Canadians do with an RSP. I want to tell you that $392 billion, that sounds incredibly impressive, doesn't it? But a few years back, they were audited by the Office of the Superintendent of Financial Institutions. That's basically the bank's regulator. And they found that the CPP's unfunded liability, that is the money they would owe everybody if they actually made good on their promise, versus the money they have, they're short about $900 billion. And that's getting worse every year, as in they're missing 2/3 of what they need to be able to keep their promise to everyone. So yeah, all of a sudden $392 billion doesn't sound so big when they're missing 900. So the whole thing's political, is my point. Few politicians have the courage to do anything about this, because making things fair for future generations means making them less rich for today's retirees, which means reducing the overpayments today. That's tough politically. Stephen Harper was taking baby steps in this regard. I think he was slowly making the retirement age you could claim CPP a little bit higher. I think it was a month, a year, if I recall, he's planning to do. So no one would suddenly be cut off or anything. It would just slowly be made more sustainable. Remember when the CPP was created in 1966, life expectancy in Canada was about 72. And you didn't get your pension until I think you were 69. So frankly, the average Canadian wouldn't collect it until very late in life. And the average Canadian would only collect it a few years before they passed away. Now the age is being reduced to 65. You can even get a partial pension at age 60. By the way, the life expectancy is now 82. So instead of 3 years on a pension, you got 20 years on a pension. So yeah, it's not a real pension plan, folks. It's just not. That's an excerpt from the Ezra Levant show. Every day, I do a video.
Every day, send me money so I can send to Israel.
Right. But yeah, all that's true though. It's if you look it up yourself, the numbers. I remember when I looked it up, is like 800 billion, but I guess it's 900 billion. Keeps rising. But they make money off of that. They're showing they making a return of 11%, but we're not making that return. It's other people making that money fucking off of us. And you keep trying to tell people, hey, these pensions, they're not sustainable. And what is it going to take to make them more sustainable? Yeah, kind of like it's going to be raising the retirement age as well. That's probably going to be in the cards, the future for people, because, like I think in the video, he said anybody under 60, it's not going to be for them, like right now, right? And that's exactly how it works. And right when the system got started too, people were paid out immediately, right? So it's like, how does that work? If people are automatically, their pensions are paid out when they first started paying it, it's like that there was no money in the system right away. So it's clearly political, right? Not sustainable. It's not, it's just empty promises that are eventually going to catch up to people.
Well, also the thing, even if the CPP is underfunded, I mean, these politicians operate on a 4 to 5 year scale. As much as they talk about long term planning, they're just trying to get reelected. It's
Yeah.
part of the system is, yes, you can turf them after 4 or 5 years, but that incentivizes these guys to focus on those 4 or 5 years. And so, even if CPP is underfunded, I remembered, and I just quickly Googled it, and unfortunately, I can't share the article with you because I'm on my phone. But I remembered when Trudeau was running for election, and back in 2014, 2015, and one of the hallmarks of his campaign was to do a massive infrastructure investment into Canada. Build roads and bridges and subways and trains and planes and automobiles and oh my, all kinds of stuff. If I came on earlier, I would have talked about Bombardier and their shenanigans. But anyways, save that for Saturday. And I remembered when they asked him where you going to get the money, it was revealed that he was planning to borrow it, quote unquote, from CPP as one of the sources. So even though there may be, say, $300 billion there and it's short 900, governments are looking at that 300 million and thinking, hey, 300 billion, thinking, hey, we got 300 billion.
I know, right?
Yeah, we have 300 billion, and we can give them a better rate of return. CPP gets 11%, so we're going to pay 15. Meanwhile, I'm thinking, okay, you've got the Bank of Canada you could borrow money from at a much lower rate since they're the ones who print the money. No, not to mention any number of financial institutions that'll give you a lot less than 15%. And if you give CPP less than the 11% that they claim that they're getting, then you're basically robbing Canadians. So, yeah, the math doesn't add up on that one. I haven't heard too much on those infrastructure projects, by the way, that Trudeau was supposed to kick off with his majority government either. But anyways. So yeah, they're looking at that. They're looking at that kitty bank and looking to see, hey, how can we pull even more out of it for our friends at SNC-Lavalin and Bombardier and Tourleon.
It's a big deal because that's a lot of money, and if one day, that's the thing, people are all depending on this system to keep functioning, and one day if it doesn't, people are going to be in a world of hurt, and they're all just not aware that it's growing too. It wasn't that so big before, and that numbers, like I said, when I checked it a while, it was like 800 billion. That's like 900 billion. It's like it's just going to keep growing more and more, and and that's why I'm for small government on average, because I just think that whenever the government takes control of things, it just turns to shit, and they mismanage it, use it for political reasons, et cetera, and they don't give a shit. They think too short term, right? It's the way our political system is I guess maybe created, or the way it's structured, that people, they only think of the next 4 years and, okay, what can I do to make all these promises, give all this money, and get reelected in 4 years, as opposed to making real change that could take 15 years, right? Because that's the problem. A lot of actual good real change will take a long time, and maybe people that you've voted for you won't see what you did to make that change. So people, that they try to make it flashy and they try to give a lot of money and stuff, but and that's the fault also of the public as well too. It's that they don't, they're not paying attention, or they're paying attention to the flashy stuff and not like, oh, look at these really good investments that they make that's going to pay off down the road in 10, 15 years. Yeah, we're gonna that doesn't appeal to people politically, right? And so politicians don't make those good decisions and good moves. So I think that could be kind of a systemic issue, right? It's in the system. Yeah. But sorry, if you got anything you want to add, I'm gonna end it.
No,
after you add or anything. But yeah.
No, yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up.
Yeah, guys, thank you all for joining us. I appreciate it. Went a little bit long. Sorry about the mess up at the beginning. Try to fix that so that doesn't happen again. But thank you all for joining me, guys, and have a wonderful night. Peace.